My love for you is so strong. Welcome in, everyone. Hold on, let me get the screen going properly here. There we go. There we go. Welcome in, everyone. Hell yeah. All right. We got kind of bad lighting. Hold on, we can fix this. Okay, this is bad lighting. I just showered. Here, let's turn this down. Okay. All right. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Angelina Tucci. Thank you for joining me here. We will be going over some politics today. We have quite a few national stuff to cover, Latin American stuff to cover. It's going to be exciting. There's a lot going on in the world. Like, sometimes it feels like it's too much, but it's, we're going to be okay. We're going to make it through. We'll be good. There we go. That looks a tad bit better. It is what it is. I think, no, we're good. All right. So let's do a little. Let's try to get back onto this Hassan grind set, where we cover a little bit of personal news. Hold on, I'm trying to set up the stream properly. I hope everyone's doing good. Let me know how you're doing, chat. It is Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. Yeah, it's Tuesday. The December. Oh, it's Wednesday. Damn. Thank you, Stardust. It is Wednesday. Doing good. Thank you, sister, for letting me know that it is Wednesday. Yeah. So happy Wednesday, everyone. Oh, nice. The chat's coming up on stream. I love that. Man, I miss Bang Boos. Hold on, let me see what interesting emojis we have. Although I don't think we have any. Hold on, let's see if it even comes up in chat. Oh, it's just letters, blue face smiling, cringe. Okay, well, yeah, welcome in everyone. We're gonna get started here shortly. I'm just letting everyone trickle in. I posted my story on Instagram, so hopefully people come in from Instagram. Got quite a few followers there. Yay, Stardust. Yeah, see here, go to my Instagram post and give that some traction, please. All right. Let's start by let's just hop right into the Susie Wiles story because it's crazy, and I want to start by stealing content from Hassan. So
President Trump's chief of staff is speaking out about the administration.
Let me change the view here. There we go. Okay.
Series of interviews with Vanity Fair. Susie Wiles says Trump has a, quote, alcoholic personality and will go for it whenever he sees an opportunity for retro.
All right, so sorry. Chat real quick. Breakdown on the screen. This is Susie Wiles. She is, I would say, senior ranking Karen of the United States right now. Because, she's chief of staff, right? For those of you who don't know what... Hey, DV8. It's good to see you in, homie. It's good to see you in. Thank you for joining us. And no, we, our life is YouTube. Our life is politics. Our life is just fun stuff. So I'm happy to have you here. I need to figure out how to make this, look a little bit not... Go down. Okay. There we go. Let's make the chat look a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. Let's so chief of staff Susie Wiles, she's if y'all remember Barack Obama during his first, I don't know if I think it was his first term. I don't think his second term. He had Mr. Rahm Emanuel as his chief of staff, and Rahm Emanuel was the former Chicago mayor, and he was very controversial. So chief of staff is an interesting position. It's like it should be the president's I want to say bottom bitch, but that's not the appropriate term. Just their go-to person, right? Chief of staff is the go-to person that gets all the other administration in the executive branch together. So she should know everything. Chief of staff should have their finger on the pulse of their administration 24/7. So it's really interesting that she did this Vanity Fair article. Well, let's hear Hassan talk about it a little bit.
She also calls Vice President
It's appropriate,
Vance a
yes.
conspiracy theorist,
No, as I'm saying, the bottom bitch is not a negative term here on this broadcast. Bottom bitch holds power, okay? Susie Wiles was definitely is Trump's current bottom bitch, you know? She's gotta get things together. If it's not Marco Rubio, he's got too many jobs, but I would consider him the other competent person in the administration. But Susie Wiles, she has to keep all the other cabinet together.
For a decade, and says Attorney General Pam Bondi whiffed on the Epstein files controversy. Now Wiles is calling the article a disingenuously framed hit piece. White House correspondent Karen.
Yeah, bro, she daggered everybody in the admin in this.
Also, little Marco Rubio, yes.
I don't know what's up with that.
Travers is here for more on that. Hi, Karen. So Wiles is taking issue with this article, but she's not denying the specific quotes, and some of them are pretty eye-opening. So how is she explaining some of these statements?
Yeah, and this was a series of interviews that she did with Vanity Fair's Chris Whipple over many months. 11 interviews, he said, that he put together in these two pieces. In her statement posted on social media, Susie Wiles says this is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me, the president, the White House.
I don't know how she could be claiming it's a hit piece.
But she also says that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. But Diane, this piece has Washington talking because there are some incredible headlines in here. She talks about the president's retribution campaign, saying that when there's an opportunity, he will go for it, but that there was a loose agreement that the score settling would end before the first 90 days.
Bro, like if you look at the screen right now, she is like the level 100 mafia boss Karen. She looks like a Karen through and through. Sometimes you need to have Karens. Karens are good things. But like, man, she just looks like she's gonna talk to the manager. She's gonna find your manager and tell them what bad of a job you're doing.
Disagreement about this major.
I'm sure JD Vance hates her,
saying that this was a conversation and disagreement about whether they were a good idea. And on the president's current strategy in the Caribbean against Venezuela, she says that strategy is to keep blowing up boats until Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, says uncle. Diane.
And Wiles also revealed President Trump is.
I love pearl clutching Republicans acting like this will.
Oh, hold on, sorry. I love the fact that they're like, yes, JD Vance Couchman. I love the fact that Maduro is such a talking point for this administration. Like, Latin America has never been paid attention to by any president ever. And it's so freaking ironic that the first, I guess in modern history, right? In modern history, the first president to legitimately pay attention to Latin America is the president that is most like a Latin American president. It's hilarious. It's so hilarious. We'll go into some articles about Trump being like a Latin American president later on. But yeah.
Do isolate them and make libs pat them on the back. I don't even understand what the she was thinking. I guess these guys, they just get very excited at any mainstream media appeal still. They think that mainstream media will do them any favors. But look at these shots, dude. Vanity Fair cooked them so hard.
Vanity Fair photos? Oh my God. Why did they zoom on fucking Vance's face? I was going to read the article in a second, but oh my God. These photos are hilarious. Oh man, and she gave whoever wrote this article. Oof, sorry to jump scare y'all. Oh my God, we can see if he's wearing eyeliner, but we can't really see his top lid. That's crazy. JD Vance photo on screen. Sorry to jump scare everyone. But these photos are so bad. I mean, they're so good, but they're just so bad too. Oh no, we don't even want to get into this motherfucker. And by that I mean Stephen Miller. Oh my God. Ew, they got his individual baby hairs. Yeah, whoa, for sure. Oh man. Okay, okay.
That is crazy, brother. That is an insane photo shoot. I mean, this is really f***ed up. The filler injection sites, like
Oh
you
yeah,
can see
sorry,
it.
my
I feel
thumbnail, I
like they
know.
specifically made Marco Rubio's ear a part of the photo. Look at this photo. Oh, I saw this already. Listen,
We
this
gotta. We're
people are saying I'm a wheezy.
scooting over
Oh
Sydney.
my gosh, she's so cooked. She's supposed to be the only competent person for the record. You understand that, right? Like Susie Wiles getting caught like this is even worse because she is the maximum competent person, perhaps one of the
There you
only
go.
competent people
Most
in the White
competent
House.
person.
Obviously, like the Elon Musk ketamine thing is not that big of a deal because Donald Trump has basically also said similar things. But the rest of this
It's-
stuff is not good because she basically says it's a state of chaos with warring interests and every single person is a f***ing idiot. On the morning of November 4th, on an off-year election day,
Oh,
White
damn,
House Chief
he's
of Staff
reading the
Susie
article.
Wiles was meeting in
No,
Oval
no, no, no,
Office
no.
with the president and his top advisors. She is the last soldier. If she falls, I suspect everything will fall apart. This is the competent one. Yes. And so far, if her goal was to basically keep this admin together, devoid of many leaks, even when most of the people are incompetent charlatans, she accomplished it. She did. A lot better than Trump won, as the MS Now anchors
Oh
also
my god, sorry.
talked about, because Trump won, many of you may be too young to remember, was one chaotic
Oh my
media
God.
moment
Okay,
after another.
sorry,
There were
sorry, sorry. Pause on Hassan. I went to the Vanity Fair Instagram page and they just have this pathetic ass photo of little Marco Rubio looking down at his feet like he dropped his little pesos. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm not going to have enough money to buy candy anymore." What is this picture? Why is he looking at his feet? He's so tiny. Oh, I need to look up to see how tall Marco Rubio is. Height. Oh, he's only 5'9"? No way. Yes, goofy ass. You know? Hold on. Marco Rubio. How tall are the president? Oh. Oh my god, this is old ass article from 2015 showing the height of Hillary Clinton and Rand Paul being the same height. That's hilarious. Hillary Clinton's 5'7"? That's crazy. That's crazy. I had no idea. Can we just see this whole image? Okay. Marco Rubio's 5'10". Okay. Okay. Look, they got the whole lineup here. Where's Trump? He's not on this? Okay, this is old. This is really old. This is from like the 2015 election, back when Carly Fiorina was a thing. She's from California. She was like the director or CEO of Hewlett Packard or something. Dang, Rand Paul 5'8", Marco Rubio 5'10", Bobby Jindal 5'10", Mike Huckabee 5'11", Chris Christie 5'11". Chris Christie was heavy, bro. And he's 5'11". Ben Carson, R.I.P., a 5'11". Oh, here we go. Donald Trump is 6'3". No way. No way. Donald Trump is not 6'3". No way. That's a lie. I feel like Jeb Bush is genuinely 6'3". I would love to see a picture of Jeb Bush next to Donald Trump. That's crazy. Okay, okay. Sorry. Let me go back to this picture. Look at this picture of little Marco Rubio. Little Marco Rubio. He's so short and thirsty. Oh my god. Oh my god, these pictures are crazy. RFK Jr. looks like that's so bad. How did we end up here? LMAO. We step away for a second and come back to anime husbanographic. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, it's because we had to do the height comparison because I did not. Okay, here we go. Look, they put Marco Rubio in the front so that he looks as tall as JD Vance. What the hell is wrong with Stephen Miller? Why does he think he's so sexy? He is not. Why does he think he's like, oh my God, I don't get it. What is with his face? this freaking face, bro. It's like anime boys' height is very, yes, along with their birthdays and along with their favorite meals. Yes, I know that anime fangirls are obsessed with what their anime husbandos' favorite everything is. Like, yes, Lord Farquaad minus the hair, Nosferatu, yup. Like, what do you think Stephen Miller's favorite like meal is? It has to be something annoyingly plain, like he'll be like, "Oh, my favorite meal is a New York steak with mashed potatoes, no seasoning on the mashed potatoes, and I want the steak well done." That's what I feel like Stephen Miller's go-to meal is. Okay, I wanted to. Oof, let's go into Marco Rubio because this is what the frick did they do? What did they do to this poor man? You see his little hairs. His favorite meal is Tyson Orphan Bites? No. No. No, brother. No. That's good though. Oh my god, yes, Marco Rubio. I was laughing because I think in this video, Hassan says that they had to use a wide angle camera to get all of here we go.
Nada, she says. And
Yeah, this was funny response to Marco Rubio complaining about this. It's obvious to most people that Vanity Fair deliberately manipulated the pictures and reported statements without context, trying to make the White House team look bad. Yeah, no, definitely, man. This is not what you look like. You are totally a fucking hottie. How did they do that to you? I do think it's funny that they included his ginormous ear. They couldn't put both because then it couldn't be close up. You had to literally go to a different zip code to get both of his ears in the shot. But I do like that they included, he's the only one who got at least one ear included in the close-up shots. No one else. And I know that was deliberate.
Yes. Why? Because they got Carolyn Levitt. They just did her face. Stephen Miller. They got his face. They even got Susie Wiles. Like she just looks like a deer caught in headlights. Like and POV. You just told the lady at the Kohl's you work at that there is no more holiday. What the hell do Karens want this holiday season? I feel like the Stanley Cups is dead. Yankee candles are dead. But like, okay, POV, you work at the Yankee candle store, and you told a customer that there's no more Christmas scents. And this is the face you get. About to call your district manager and let everyone know what bad customer service you gave her. This is hilarious. She's just so like I swear to God, there's a whole episode of 30 Rock from the early 2000s. You know, Tina Fey from SNL. She did this show called 30 Rock where, there's basically a show on SNL, right? And there's this one episode where Tina Fey is talking about how hard it is to be a woman comedian, right? That these publications don't take them serious because they're female comedians, so that automatically means they're not attractive, and there's no freaking point to have have a picture of a comedian in Vanity Fair because Vanity Fair is for high fashion or whatever. I literally have never bought a Vanity Fair magazine. But yeah, it's like you went into this photo shoot and you let the camera person get this close to your face. What did you think they were gonna do? Like if someone came to that close to my face to take pictures for an article that's not about this article was not, oh, the Trump administration has the most sexiest people. No, this was they should have been they should have been suspicious from the get-go. But no, they literally all went in there and got photo shoots and let the camera person get this close to their face. Like, what else were you thinking was going to happen? You can't just go to these publications and act like, they're going to have your best interests. No, they want the clicks. They want the people to buy the articles, I mean the magazines on the newsstands. So that means that they have to put in this weird stuff like this, you know, like, oh my god, JD Vance has a little freaking thing dangling off of his top lip. It's like, did you not put on chapstick? How would you not put on chapstick before you did this? Like I'm not shitting on Vanity Fair. Obviously, this is great. I totally support Vanity Fair, you know, doing Trump's inner circle on the record, you know, like all of these people are important to America, you know? So, oh god. Yeah, so it's just, you know, like a little profile. Oh no, there's a little picture of Donald Trump standing next to Vladimir. Yeah, is his name Vladimir Putin? What? No, his first name is not Vladimir. I'm stupid. I'm confusing him with the Ukrainian guy. Putin. What is Putin's name? Oh, it is Vladimir Putin. I'm stupid. Every Slavic guy's name is Vladimir, and don't let them tell you otherwise. So there's a picture, I guess it's on Susie Wild's desk because it's literally signed by Donald Trump in his freaking fat Sharpie writing, to Susie, you are the greatest, Donald. And then he put his whole ass Donald J. Trump signature right above himself. Like, why would you gift someone a picture of yourself with another head of state? Like I don't know. Maybe that's how old people did picture giving back then. Like they would be like, "Oh, here's my brother and sister. You don't know them, but have a picture of them." Like, yeah, crazy. Okay, all right. Let's I don't know how much more I could look at these individual faces, but it's just this little Marco Rubio picture. This little Marco Rubio picture cuz it looks like his shoes are too big for him. Oh man. Sorry. Okay. Here.
I know that was deliberate. And yes, I know he can hear me saying this right now from Washington, D.C. Okay. You, Marco Rubio. Body shaming? Oh, shut up. I have big ears too. Okay. I can do it. This is the one thing I can do. Look how big my ears are. Obviously, nothing in comparison to Marco Rubio's, but like, there's nobody more loyal or committed to President Trump's mission than Susie Wiles. She is one of the main reasons why we are a team that works together to carry out the president's promises to the American people. Yeah, photographer had to hit the fisheye lens to get both, to get even one ear in the shot.
So I think she's making that kind of a comparison. I don't know how much she's going to appreciate that or not. I think you're right to wonder. Obviously, she could make enemies with this elsewhere in the West Wing. Will J.D. Vance appreciate being called a conspiracy theorist? She says that Marco Rubio converted to MAGA out of principle, whereas J.D. Vance, and there's a contrast here, did it out of politics, in effect, because he was running for the Senate. Will J.D. Vance appreciate that? I think that obviously Elon Musk, she talks about him. She says he's an odd duck. She says she was aghast at his defenestration of USAID. She said no rational person, that's her words, no rational person would have done it the way he did it. So we'll see. She hasn't made a lot of enemies up until now. This may be a turning point in that regard. We'll have to wait and see. But you're right. There hasn't been a lot of turnover. He hasn't wanted to give in to the outside voices saying you need to make a change. You get rid of Hegseth. You got to get rid of RFK Jr. He's been resistant to that. This will be a test of that discipline or that resistance.
Eugene Robinson, give us your quick thoughts as to what you read in these stunning interviews.
Stunning, absolutely stunning that she would be so candid, and I think this is a really valuable and fascinating look, sort of behind the curtain, behind the scenes of the court of the Mad King, and that's where we are, and all these assorted.
Why is she doing this? I don't know. You got to go through every quote that she gave in that to see if there was anything that she was like trying to cast doubt on or something. I don't know. Turns out she's a huge Rob Reiner fan. Okay. She's protecting her legacy. Her legacy is directly associated with Trump at this point. There is no other legacy beyond that. Yeah. I don't know. Dementia. I do think that the reason why they do these kinds of interviews though is because they think they can outsmart journalists, or they think that journalists are actually coming to them and offering them real praise, you know? Like they think that journalists are playing ball with them. Yeah, also, exactly. The vice president complains about the publication which ran the interview yet posed for this glamour shot that that ran with the interview. Vance's parting comments on the Vanity Fair article.
So
if any of us have learned a lesson from that Vanity Fair article, I hope that the lesson is we should be giving fewer interviews to mainstream media outlets. Yeah, he was big mad. Severance Corps. Yeah, these are the people on JCS who think
all right. Let's get into the actual article now because we need to do all the real journalism here. Whoops, not that one. Okay. Gotta go to my look at this dude. Okay. There we go. So, this is a two-parter. This is a two-part article from Vanity Fair. What is today's barely the 16th. So, okay. So this is, well, the photos at least are by Christopher Anderson. So shout out to him. Oh, and it's written by Chris Whipple and photographed by Christopher Anderson. All right, so let's get into the article. Throughout the first year of Donald Trump's second administration, Vanity Fair writer Chris Whipple has interviewed Wiles amid each moment of crisis. No way. He talked to her in every crisis. That's crazy. That's crazy. Why were they so cool with talking to a mainstream outlet? Okay. On the morning of November 4th, 2025, an off-year election day, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was meeting in the Oval Office with the president and his top advisors. Men, she calls her core team. Oh man, so she's really running the show back here then. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff. Oh, okay, so Stephen Miller works under her then, huh? The agenda was twofold: ending the congressional filibuster and forcing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro from power. Yeah, like I said, we're going to get into Maduro later on because it's an ongoing thing. As she related it later, President Donald Trump was holding forth on the filibuster when Wiles stood up and started for the door. Trump eyed her. "Is this an emergency that you have to leave?" he demanded. It was nothing of the sort, but Wiles left Trump guessing. She replied, "It's an emergency. It doesn't involve you." With that, according to Wiles, she departed the Oval Office. Okay, so there's the second part is already out too. Okay. Wiles, wearing dark pants and a plain black leather top, met me in her office with a smile and a handshake. Over sandwiches from the White House mess, I would imagine they mean mess hall. We talked oh my god, Diego, or whatever you want to be called, homie. I will call Welcome in from Argentina, or are you still living in Uruguay? No, you're living in Argentina now. It's cool to see you. Thank you. Welcome in. We're going to be talking about Venezuela later. You know, your neighbor, Venezuela, and Nicolas Maduro. So, but right now we're talking about Donald Trump. Ah, you live in Cordoba. That's cool. That's cool. Good to see you. Throughout the past years, Wiles and I have spoken regularly about almost everything. The contents, the consequences of the Epstein files, ICE brutal mass deportation, Elon Musk evisceration of USAID, the controversial deployment of the National Guard to U.S. cities, the demolition of the East Wing, the lethal strikes on boats allegedly being piloted by drug smugglers, and acts many have called war crimes. Trump's physical and mental health, and whether he will defy the 22nd Amendment and try to stay for a third term. Yeah, shout out to my primo in Latin America, because we also have a Latin American president now too. You know, I recently in my classes, I learned that in Argentina, the former president, Juan Perón, he was the original Donald Trump. I kid you not. Perón was the original Donald Trump. Perón was the first populist president in anywhere of the democratic world, right? He was so freaking popular that they had to literally the people of Argentina protested for him to come back to be president. Now tell me that's something that would not happen here in America. It totally would. It totally would with Donald Trump's first term, right? He was, I would say, more popular than his second term, right? So, or I mean, who knows? We're barely 1 year into the second term, but it's crazy how the world how people in the world are so upset with all the people that run the world, you know, all the business owners, all the governments, all of the establishment people, right? All of those people across the world are upset with the people that run everything. So of course, you know, we have Viktor Orban in Hungary, you know, because he was like the first anti-establishment person to get elected in Europe. We had Brexit, right? Where literally an entire country was like, we don't want to be a part of the European Union. We want to be kicked out, right? Then, you know, we had Donald Trump in 2016. We had Bernie Sanders in 2016. Both of them ran on an anti-establishment platform. And I mean, now we're like in Mexico, we have Claudia Sheinbaum. She is anti-establishment, I would say, even though, well, yeah, I would say she is, because her and AMLO were not really like, they're outsiders, right? So, I mean, and then, you know, of course, my favorite president, Nayib Bukele, he just got rid of his term limits. So now he's going to be the never ending president of El Salvador. I forget which other countries have also done these things, but you know, it's, oh, well, I mean, I guess, you know, Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, he got rid of term limits so he could just be president for as long as he wanted. And then that trickled down to Nicolas Maduro, where he's the, you know, unlimited president now. And I guess America's trying to get him to step down, even though I don't think America can get Maduro to step down. It has to happen within Venezuela's own country, right? And then my other favorite president, Evo Morales, he got rid of term limits way a long time ago, and you know, he tried to be president for like 4 terms. So it's crazy. It's crazy that America, which was basically a country that was founded on not having this like extensionally long leadership, right? Like America was like, we don't want to have British rule. Our first president ever, George Washington, our first ever president, George Washington, was like, I'm just going to serve 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, and then I'm stepping down. By the way, I hate political parties. They're bad and they're going to ruin democracy. Thank you. Sorry. I know I made that mistake. And then, you know, every U.S. American president, for the most part, you know, up until Franklin Delano Roosevelt, followed that 2-term thing, right? And then after FDR died in office on his 4th term, that's when the entirety of the United States was like, okay, we're gonna put in a constitutional amendment to say that you could only run for 2 terms. And And yeah, we've been doing that ever since. I guess, like I said, it's ironic that Donald Trump, the most Latin American president of America, wants to continue acting like a Latin American president by removing term limits. All right. Let's get back to the article. Okay. Most senior White House officials parse their words and speak only on background, right? Speak only on background. George Bush had baked beans? I had no idea, Deviate. George Bush, I'm sure he loves baked beans because I remember him, or at least George W. Bush, saying that he was most interested in, or his favorite food is Tex-Mex. Not even Mexican food. He likes the Texan version of Mexican food. Okay, back to the article. But over many on-the-record conversations, Wiles answered almost every question I put to her. We often spoke on Sundays after church. Oh, I didn't know. Susie Wiles was she's an Episcopalian. Calls herself Catholic Light. No, brother. No. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna, when JD Vance is a fake Catholic, I don't mean it in the bad way. I'm saying, he's a convert later on in life. And his wife isn't even Catholic. I just, I don't know. We need to have either full Catholics back in office or non-religious people, because this Catholic Light stuff, the evangelical Christians, even the Mormons, like, come on, they have some weird takes on what Jesus would have wanted. All right. One time we spoke while she was doing her laundry in her Washington, D.C. rental. Trump, she told me, has an alcoholic's personality. Yeah, so, okay. Have a good one. See you later, cousin. Take care. I love to see pictures of your son. And so, have a good one. Thank you for joining us. All right. Vance's conversion from a never Trumper to MAGA acolyte, she said, has been sort of political. The vice president, she added, has been a conspiracy theorist for a decade. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know that. Vance will go into anything. Russell Voigt, architect of the notorious Project 2025 and head of the Office of Management and Budget, is a right-wing absolute zealot. When I asked her what she thought of Musk reposting a tweet about public sector workers killing millions under Hitler, Stalin, and Mao, she replied, I think that's when he's microdosing. No way. This woman told the whole world that Elon Musk is doing drugs. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But I mean, we all been new. Sorry, I feel like I have to sneeze. Excuse me. All right. She says she doesn't have firsthand knowledge, but she's okay with telling Vanity Fair, I think he's microdosing. That's crazy. Wiles is the most powerful person in Trump's White House other than the president himself. Unlike any chief of staff before her, she is a woman. Yeah, that's what's crazy too, is that she's the first ever female chief of staff. And she can't even curl her eyelashes properly. She just put straight on put a mascara onto straight ass eyelashes. Didn't even curl them first. You could see her mascara is falling into her lines. Falling. What kind of mascara is this woman using? Like, we have collectively the woman sphere, whatever the opposite of the manosphere is, where all the beauty gurus are at, we have solved the falling mascara issue. There is no reason that this woman's mascara should be falling as much as it is, especially for a photo shoot. Why was no one there to touch her up, brother? Why was no one there? Oh, man. Oh, at least you could see the peach fuzz on her face, so that way you know she's a real woman, you know? I'm talking about the video game stuff where they're like, oh my God, they put peach fuzz on her face. And now she's not attractive. Yeah. I mean, surprise, surprise. People have hair. We're freaking mammals. We have hair. Okay. Yeah. So, they did us a solid by not showing us her nosy. All right, so yeah, full on zoom in Susie Wiles. I mean, shout out to her for letting her grays go as a fellow gray woman. Not afraid to dye her hair. I mean, not afraid to let her natural grays go out. I support Susie Wiles on that. But the mascara is bugging the heck out of me. These like freaking little spider legs of eyelashes. Like, come on. All right, enough of the sexism, right? So many decisions of great consequence are being made on the whim of the president. And as far as I can tell, the only force that can direct or channel that whim is Susie. A former Republican chief told me, in many White Houses, the chief of staff is first among a bunch of equals. She may be first with no equals. Interesting. So that means that Trump really trusts her then, right? Because that's interesting. Okay. I don't think there's anybody in the world right now that could do the job that she's doing, Rubio told me. He called her bond with Trump an earned trust. Vance described Wiles' approach to the chief's job. There is the idea that people have that I think was very common in the first administration, he told me, that their objective was to control the president or influence the president or even manipulate the president because they had to in order to serve the national interest. Susie just takes the diametrically opposite viewpoint, which is that she's a facilitator, that the American people have elected Donald Trump, and her job is to actually facilitate his vision and make his vision come to life. That's crazy. That's crazy because, chat, if you remember the first Trump administration, which I know that's crazy because it's 10 years ago now, you know. The first Trump administration was literally 10 years ago. And there's people that don't remember this, and that sucks, but you know, this is just the world we live in, right? Trump's first administration felt very controlled in a way. Like, I know the stuff that he's doing today feels crazy. Like, it's been ever since he was inaugurated in this year. Oh my God, 12 months ago, right? By the way, shout out to Stardust for reminding me that we have to go through another State of the Union in a few weeks, or quite possibly even a few weeks. We have to go through another crazy State of the Union. Yeah, thank you, DV8. It was very controlled compared to what it is now. And I think that's because maybe people in his administration were like, this is America. The people are not going to let us get away with as many things as we think we can. Yeah, but he did a lot of illegal stuff still. Like, I think the biggest shock for me during the first Trump administration was when he did the blanket Muslim ban, right? When he like shut down he didn't shut down the airports, but like there was people, it was an immediate thing that like happened overnight that affected a lot of people. It affected travelers, but like, you know, just him being like, okay, we're going to close down the flights from certain areas. And we're not going to accept these people from these, and I quote, shithole countries, right? Deviate said, I wasn't into politics at the time, but I know now. Yeah. So when he did the Muslim ban, it was crazy. You know how when he first hit office and this year and was like, okay, we're sending ICE and we're sending the National Guard to all these places and we're gonna do that. Like that, in my opinion, has been the craziest thing so far this administration. Although there's a lot of crazy things, but like I would say that rivaled the Muslim ban of the previous administration. And I feel like there was probably people in the administration that were like, Trump, you cannot do this. We're going to get impeached. We're going to get kicked out. The Republican Party is going to lose forever. And we have to be very cautious, right? The mask is off now on the second administration, and it's like Trump is like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to do whatever vision, whatever I want, whatever I said I was going to do in the first administration, it needs to happen now. I just saw Trump back then and thought, kind of goofy dude. But once you learn about him and his history, yikes. Yeah. There was so many people that I talked to that were like, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump in 2016 or 2015, whenever the election was. And I'm like, really? You do not seem like the typical Donald Trump supporter. You know, you're like a Latino dude who's not even MAGA. You know, you're like a woman who's not even MAGA. You know, it was a different time in 2016. And I think people like one of the notable things I'll remember was when Hillary Clinton lost the election and she got on stage to give her little bullshit concession speech. And I remember because she was wearing this weird purple suit, right? Or her suit had like purple lapels. And she got up there and told the entire United States to give Donald a chance, right? And we did. We genuinely gave Donald a chance. And when he lost in 2020, that was the end. That was the end. And oh my God, well, we're not going to get into this election, but you know, it just feels like a different administration. You know, Steve Bannon was in the first administration, and I thought he was a scary guy because you know, Steve Bannon, he's like, you know, I think he's with the Heritage Foundation people. But Steve Bannon was like, you know, he was for Brexit. He was for the Muslim ban. Like, I was in high school at the time, so I was on edgy stuff. Oh no, deviate. Don't tell me you were watching Ben Shapiro. So yeah. It's Steve Bannon was the scariest guy in the first administration, in my opinion. But the scariest guy in the current administration, Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is like so much more of like a white supremacist / hidden Nazi than compared to Steve Bannon, that it's like not even a joke. Like I know Steve Bannon wouldn't have been like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for my close-up Vanity Fair. Steve Bannon would not let this happen to him because he knows he's an ugly motherfucker. He knows he's ugly and he wears the same stupid little green trench coat. Hold on. Okay, yes, here. His stupid little ugly green trench coat. I didn't know about Ben Shapiro at the time, so I didn't watch it. Good, I'm glad. See, look, Steve Bannon wears this same, hold on, let's get, oh, there he is doing his little Nazi salute. Steve Bannon, you know, we're lucky if he even brushes his hair. But yeah, like, I could only imagine what the Vanity Fair photos would have been if Steve Bannon was there, because like homie already looks disgusting. And it's not even close up. Yeah. Look at this. Okay. Oh no, LA Times. I'm not going to pay for your stuff. All right. Back to the Vanity Fair article. It's been a busy year. Trump and his team have expanded the limits of the presidential power, unilaterally declared war on drug cartels. Yeah, that's true. Imposed tariffs according to whim. Sealed the southern border. Achieved a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza. I don't know about that. And pressured NATO allies to increase their defense spending. Okay, this is going to be my hot take. I think it's good that Donald Trump pressured NATO allies. I think it's good. And it needed to happen because Europe has been too far long dependent on America to come take care of them. You know, Europe, I don't want to say they're falling apart, but everyone says that they're falling apart. And it's okay. It's okay, deviate. We all regret our ways, you know. I used to be a feminazi, I'm sure. Not I'm sure. I was a feminazi back in the day. Oh God, we're not gonna. Sorry for the JD Vance zoom in, but yeah, it's good. We're human creatures, and we're constantly evolving, constantly changing our political opinion. You know, personally, I'll share with you. I've been struggling between neoliberalism as a form of economic ideology and everything else. I've learned so much about neoliberals, or at least neoliberal economics, that I'm like, man, we did not know how good we had it. All of this globalization through the forms of capitalism, yes, but all of this globalization we have to thank neoliberals for. Yeah, plus our education doesn't help us from going certain ways. Yeah, exactly. You know, I was just talking with my sister this morning that in high school, and I went to high school back in the 2010s, right? In high school, we only had one semester that taught us how the American government worked. Like, I remember learning about the American government as a kid in like elementary and junior high. But like as a person who's gonna vote in like 2 or 3 years, we only learned about the American government for one semester, which is crazy because we just learned the normal stuff that we already knew. All right, back to the article. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sucks. Our education system needs to have more like civic information for people. Okay. At the same time, Trump has waged war on his political enemies, pardoned the January 6 rioters, firing nearly everyone involved in their investigation and prosecution, sued media companies into multi-million-dollar settlements, indicated multiple government officials he perceived as his foes, and pressured universities to toe his line. He has redefined the way presidents behave. See what I'm saying? Going towards to Latin American presidents. Verbally abusing women, minorities, and almost anyone who offends him. Charlie Kirk's assassination in September turbocharged Trump's campaign of revenge and retribution. Oh, another thing that we're going to talk about in this week's Inland Empire Political News broadcast is we're going to talk about these supposed New Year's Eve terrorists, right? I guess here in the high desert, there was a group of leftist terrorists, this is what the FBI says, a group of leftist terrorists that were planning to bomb multiple cities on New Year's Eve. So it just goes back to right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, every Republican was like, we're going to seek revenge. It's these radical leftists that are... Thank you, sister. It is a funny story. These radical leftists are gonna gonna keep attacking and killing more Charlie Kirks. Like, they killed Charlie Kirk and they assassinated Charlie Kirk in broad daylight, and they're gonna do it again. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think this FBI story. Well, first off, it's the FBI under Kash Patel, and Kash Patel's up there microdosing with Elon Musk, so so it's like, I'm skeptical, but stay tuned for Sunday. We will definitely be covering that as a story. All right. Critics have compared this moment to, the Reichstag fire, a modern version of Hitler's exploitation of torching the Berlin's parliament. Oh my God, I had no idea. Oh yeah, let these men do their drugs in peace. Yeah, they can do their drugs in peace when they're not wasting taxpayers' dollars. Have y'all heard, chat, have you heard that Kash Patel was using like FBI money to like fly his multiple girlfriends, or I should say his one girlfriend and her friends around? That's crazy. He's using FBI money to give girls who go party drinking, the woohoo party girls, the sorority girls. He's using FBI money to give them security detail. That's crazy. So I'm sure Elon Musk would do the same too. Like if Elon Musk could use the FBI to get Grimes back to be his wife, I'm sure he would. Well, I want to look up the Reichstag fire real quick, because this is the first time I've ever heard of it, and I'm sure it's oh man, they really burned the whole building.
Reichstagsbrand.
Reichstag fire. Okay. And excuse me. Was an arson attack on the Reichstag building, home of the German parliament in Berlin, in February 1933, precisely 4 weeks after Adolf Hitler was sworn in as Chancellor of Germany. Wait, so he was already like president and then still blew up the parliament? That's crazy. Marnus van der Lubbe, was a Dutch communist. A Dutch council communist was said to be the culprit. Oh, they blamed him. The Nazis attributed the fire to a group of communist agitators, used it as a pretext to claim that communists were plotting against the German government, and induced President Paul von Hindenburg to issue the Reichstag fire decree. Oh my God, what is this decree? Decree issued by German President Paul von Hindenburg on the advice of Chancellor Adolf Hitler on so as a response to the Reichstag fire. The decree nullified many key civil liberties of German citizens, with the Nazis in powerful positions in the German government. The decree was used as the legal basis for the imprisonment of anyone considered to be opponents of the Nazis. Okay. Yeah, I would say the Charlie Kirk murder was tried to be used by the Republican government for like this. Deviate said, I just wish I could go back and fix things, because I do feel like the conservative plan for the U.S. was off at the time. Just didn't ask questions. Sorry for going. No, it's okay. It's cool. This is what we're here. We're here. This broadcast is for questions. This broadcast is for education. This broadcast is for people who love knowledge. There will never be a stupid question in this chat. Watch me regret that. But yeah, homie, I wish I could go back and tell people to vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016. because I feel like the 2016 election was the last chance to get off this ramp, and freaking Hillary Clinton had to ruin it for everyone because it was her time. It was Hillary's time. 2016 was her time. She stepped back in 2008 to let Barack Obama become the great president that he was, but it's her time. It's Hillary's time in 2016, and she ruined it. She ruined it by being so unpopular compared to Trump. Yes, I know she still won the popular vote, but it was like, it was too much, you know? Had Bernie ran against Trump, I genuinely feel like we would have been in a different situation. Marcella said, stupid question time. Who is your favorite Pokemon? My favorite Pokemon is D's nuts. These nuts. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry. Favorite Pokemon, these nuts. Damn, got him. You're gonna get the Ligma? Okay, deviate. You're gonna jump in here and be like, my favorite Pokemon is Monty Mole or whatever his name was, the one Mario character. No, my favorite Pokemon. I'm a Kanto purist. Sorry, sister. No, I'm not a Kanto purist. My favorite Pokemon of all time, just because it's so cute, is War Turtle. I love War Turtle. But if y'all in chat want to tell me what your favorite Pokemon is, I would love that. Nah, it's Marvin Beak. Who is Marvin Beak? Hold on. Oh no, what is this, brother? What is this? I need to wash my eyes. What is this monstrosity? Why does the bird have human eyes? It looks like Stephen Miller dressed up as an eagle. What is this? I gotta get off of this. I gotta get off of this. Oh my goodness. No, okay. Back to the He also has a mouth even though he has a the sound, no, we're going back. There are children watching. Thank you, Stardust. Marvin Beak. Oh my god, that was a jump scare. That's I feel like that's Marvin Beak is gonna be my sleep paralysis demon tonight. Oh man. Okay. Back to work. Okay. Historically, the White House Chief of Staff is the president's gatekeeper, confidant, and executor of his agenda. That often means telling the president hard truths. Oh, I wonder if Susie Wiles is down for telling him hard truths. Upon taking office, Ronald Reagan was hell-bent on reforming Social Security. James A. Baker III explained to him that cutting Social Security benefits was the third rail of American politics. Reagan pivoted to tax cuts and was ultimately reelected in a landslide. That's crazy. I had no idea Ronald Reagan wanted to redo Social Security. You know who else wanted to redo Social Security? George W. Bush, that's who.
This past week, I addressed the nation to talk about the challenges facing Social Security. Yet today, there is a hole in the safety net for younger workers because Congress has made promises it cannot keep. We have a duty to save and strengthen Social Security for our children and grandchildren. As members of Congress begin work on Social Security legislation, they should pursue three important goals. First, I understand that millions of Americans depend on Social Security checks as a primary source of retirement income.
Primary, so homie, that should be their only source.
Retirees as well. As a matter of fairness, future generations should receive benefits equal to or greater than the benefits today's seniors get. Second, I believe a reform system should protect those who depend on Social Security the most. So in the future, benefits for low-income workers should grow faster than benefits for people who are better off.
Oh, wow. That's very progressive. Sorry, I thought this was going to be George W. Bush. He literally tried to privatize Social Security. And that was immensely unpopular. Let's see. Oh, from the Obama White House.
Laying a cornerstone.
Oh my God, he's so young.
America's middle class, and assuring generations of America's seniors that after a lifetime of hard work, they'd have a chance to retire with dignity. We have an obligation to keep that promise, to safeguard Social Security for our seniors, people with disabilities, and for all Americans, today, tomorrow, and forever. Now, we've been talking for a long time about how to do that, about how to make sure Social Security is healthy enough to cover the higher costs that are kicking in now that baby boomers are retiring. And I'm committed to working with anyone, Democrat or Republican, who wants to strengthen Social Security. I'm also encouraged by the reports of serious bipartisan work being done on this and other issues in the Fiscal Commission that I set up several months ago. One thing we can't
All right, this is
afford to
boring.
do, though,
This is boring.
is privatize Social Security.
Sorry, Obama. I would say that my favorite Pokemon is Lucario. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. You're in good company. Lucario is amazing. Okay. Reagan pivoted to tax cuts and was ultimately reelected in a landslide. Yeah, Reagan did his supply side tax cuts, you know, the Reaganomics, the trickle down economics. Excuse me, I burped on stream. Disgusting. Donald Rumsfeld, Gerald Ford's chief, explained the White House chief of staff is the one person besides his wife who can look him right in the eye and say, that is not right. You simply cannot go down that road. Damn, that's powerful. If y'all remember Donald Rumsfeld, he was secretary of Department of Defense, but you know, I don't want to misgender the Department of Defense new name. So the Department of War, he was the previous Department of War secretary, and he took us to Iraq and Afghanistan. So, you know, great job, Dad, for telling me the longest time that Reagan was a good to decent president. Oh yeah, I know. Ronald Reagan, people will say he's the best president of all time, but I mean, nah, he ain't it. He made everything so much more expensive. He made a lot of people's lives a lot harder. So, yeah. Ronald Reagan, people look at him with rose-colored glasses. Just how far will Trump veer off the guards rails of democracy? The question around Wiles' tenure under Trump has been whether she will do anything to restrain him. A better question, does she want to? Okay, so our first conversation took place a little more than a week before inauguration. Wiles called from the road en route from Mar-a-Lago to her home in Ponte Vedra. I think that's how you say it. Point Vedra, Florida, in her BMW 530. What the frick? Why do we have to drop the BMW? Hey, quick question, sister. If it's a 530, what does that mean? Does that mean it's 5.3 liter? Here we go. Oh, so this is what she had? 530. I don't know if it was, let's see. Tell me like the engine size. I don't care about the interior. They don't give me anything about the engine. The 2026 BMW 5 Series. Okay. So I know the X-Drive. the year. That's good. That's good. You got to educate your dad. It's okay. My dad is a big Ronald Reagan guy too. The last time he voted for a Republican, I think, was Ronald Reagan. He's been voting Democrat ever since. Okay. Well, the BMW website sucks. Here, let's go to Wikipedia. All right. I just want to figure out what engine size it has. It has multiple different size. Okay. Whatever. Sorry. That was just me being a car nerd. Okay. Yeah, obviously still love my dad though. Same. In her BMW 530, she was in high spirits, basking in Trump's victory. Not that she ever doubted the outcome. At no point did I think we would not win, she said. Not in my core, not in my sleep, not in my rational mind. But on that January day, his second inauguration approached. Wiles was determined to show the world a new Trump. I told Hakeem Jeffries, you will see a different Donald Trump when he gets there, she recounted to me. I've not seen him throw anything. I've not seen him scream. I didn't see that really horrible behavior that people talk about that I actually experienced years ago. Ah, okay. So Donald Trump is more mature now? Is that what she's saying? Wiles' childhood had prepared her for difficult men. Oh, great. Oh, great. That doesn't sound good. She had a life with difficult men. She was raised in Stamford, Connecticut. Hell yeah. Shout out to my family in Stamford, Connecticut. I think they live closer to Hartford. I'm not sure. But whatever. Connecticut is a very, very specific place. DV8 said, but man, the frustrations of being lied to. Yeah. And here's the sad thing is I think a lot of Reagan voters were like the OG Trump voters. They're like, yeah, Ronald Reagan just wants to make America better again, you know? Ronald Reagan just wants to, you know, help the little guy. Ronald Reagan just wants to, you know, make smaller governments, right? And it's just sad because a lot of these people like genuinely believe, they're like, yeah, small government is a good thing. You know, there's this one classic line from Ronald Reagan where he's like, the last thing you want to hear is someone from the federal government knocking on your door saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And he's like, no, you don't want people to come here and help you. The American government should just leave you alone and only be there in times of need. Yeah, sorry, DV8. Don't you know that it's it's difficult being a man in 2025? So I'm sorry, all men in 2025, you're gonna have to atone for all the sins that men have done. I joke, of course. I don't. You know, this is what it is to be a man in 2025. Okay. So she grew up in Stamford, Connecticut and Saddle River, New Jersey. The only daughter and eldest of 3 siblings. Okay, so she had 2 younger brothers. It was her famous father, Pat Summerall, who put Wiles on a path to the pinnacle of political power. Summerall had been a kicker for the New York Giants and afterward parlayed his knowledge and oh man, why did they gotta write these weird words? Mellifluous baritone? Hold on. Let me look up this word. Mellifluous. A voice of words, sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. Okay, so a mellifluous baritone. So I know that that's like, you know, a singing person. So yeah, he just sweet talked his way in. I guess that's what they're saying, right? Into fame and fortune as voice of the NFL. Okay, there you go. So yeah, so she's a nepo baby. Yeah, no, I don't know. 2025 is a weird time for men. Sorry, I'm going on that for too long. Okay. At her father's knee, Susie Summerall became a football aficionado, rattling off win-loss records and player stats like a miniature John Madden. An ability she says Trump shares. Oh, wow. The president, it turns out, is a junkie of all that and is like a statistical savant, she said. Don't even get me started on the word savant. I'm just going to ignore that. And I remember a lot of it. As a child, Susie also absorbed the zeitgeist of her father's 1970s Manhattan. Wow. Much of what Donald Trump remembers about New York of the 70s, I lived through with my dad, she said. So when he talks about Frank Sinatra's bodyguard, I know that name. What the frick? Frank Sinatra's bodyguard? He's like a notable person in New York City? That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what's crazy? Is that she's like, I can remember win-loss records and player stats. Homie, you're just autistic. You're just autistic. You're nothing special. This is no different than a Pokemon fan memorizing all the Pokemon names, okay? No, DV8. Frank Cilantro, stop. So, yeah, like, oh my God, Trump is just autistic too. Oh man, okay. And they only remember 1970s and 80s New York City. That's crazy. All right. Yes, I know, Marcella, you know all 1,000 Pokemon names. I know you know, because you are the number one Pokemon fan in my life. I give you all the respect. Okay. Steve Wiltkoff, Trump's real estate friend turned special envoy, says Wiles and Trump are creatures of that same bygone era. The whole world of the Copacabana and Sammy Davis Jr. and all, those are the things that he wants to talk about. Oh my God. This is not even boomer life. This is like, what is the generation before the baby boomers? Oh God, sorry for this ugly ass picture of Steve Miller. Okay. The most valuable gift Susie got from her dad was hard earned. Summerall was an absentee father and an alcoholic. Of course, he was a former sports guy. What do you expect? And Wiles helped her mother stage interventions to get him into treatment. Thank you. That old razzle dazzle era. Yeah. Sammy Davis Jr. Was that guy's name? Yeah, Sammy Davis Jr. That Copacabana. That razzle dazzle era. Wiles helped her mother stage interventions and get him into treatment. Summerall was sober for 21 years before his death in 2013. Alcoholism does bad things to relationships, and so it was with my dad and me, Wiles said. Some clinical psychologists that know 1 in a million times more than I do will dispute what I'm going to say. But high-functioning alcoholics, or alcoholics in general, their personalities are exaggerated when they drink. 100% true. Chat, who here in chat knows an alcoholic that has a ginormous personality? They have and it only gets even more exemplified when they're drinking, you know? It's like you're a fun person, and when they just start drinking, they're like turn into this crazy crazy thing. So okay, back to the article. And so I'm a little bit of an expert in big personalities. Wiles said Trump has an alcoholic's personality. He operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. Nothing, zero, nothing. Okay, yeah, so he's just a narcissist, right? Trump is just crazy. He's like, I am the greatest person in the world. I can't do anything wrong. I am the president. I am amazing. Give me everything. Okay. Susie Summerall got her first taste of politics in late 1970s. That's crazy. Interning as a college student in the Capitol Hill office of Jack Kemp, the New York congressman, who'd been a Giant with her father. Though I mean, they both played on the New York Giants team. Then at 23, she landed a job in the Reagan White House as a scheduler, where she watched his chief of staff, Baker, in action. She married a GOP advance man, Lanny Wiles, and in 1984, they moved to Ponte Verdra. Wiles wanted to start a family and a life outside of politics. Does she have any kids? But in 1988, Baker lured Wiles back to her work with Dan Quayle, George H.W. Bush's running mate. The couple had 2 daughters, Katie and Caroline. Wiles plunged into state politics and over the next 2 decades became a formidable political strategist, serving as chief of staff to the mayor of Jacksonville, Florida, running Rick Scott's gubernatorial campaign. She worked with Rick Scott. That's crazy. And briefly leading John Huntsman's campaign for president. I don't even know who John Huntsman is. In 2015, Wiles was invited to Trump Tower to meet the real estate tycoon turned presidential candidate. The star of The Apprentice couldn't believe he was talking to the daughter of the great Pat Summerall. He said it a million times, Wiles said. I judge people by their genes. Yikes. DV8 said New York Giants, they have 4 Super Bowl wins. I bet her dad was one of those Super Bowl winners. What's his name again? Pat Summerall. Where was her dad? Okay, New York Giants. Summerall had been a kicker. Oh yeah, Pat Summerall. Okay, hold on. Let's see if he won any Super Bowl rings. Oh my God, they look similar. Oh look, there's Pat Summerall and John Madden. Okay. He was born in 1930. Okay, he was a sportscaster for CBS and Fox. Let's see. He played with the Detroit Lions in 1952. What are the Chicago Cardinals? That's a football team? Wow. It ended in 1958, I guess. And then the New York Giants in 1958 to 1961. That's crazy. Here, let's see how many Super Bowls the Giants have won. Championships. Super Bowl championships 4. You were right, DV8. But they didn't win with him because their first championship was, their first Super Bowl win was in 1986. Then they won again in 1990. And then in 2007 and 2011. 8 overall championships. See, I don't even know. I don't know what's the difference between championships and, but yep, you're right. League championships, 8. Conference, I don't know what the difference between conference and league is. I'm sorry, I'm not a sports person. But yeah, so that's crazy. He must have been a very good player if he's just a popular guy. So, all right. Okay, past this photo of Steve Miller. Okay. Okay. He said, I judge people by their genes. Wiles thought Trump was interesting and smart, and they called me one night and said, we're serious about Florida now. Would you like to co-chair our leadership team, she said. Leadership team. And she said, yeah, I would. I had become disenchanted with what we now call traditional Republican, she recalled. No way. No way. Wiles' relationship with Trump almost ended at his Miami golf club one night in the fall of 2016. Unhappy with a poll showing him doing worse than expected in Florida, Trump berated her in front of a gaggle of cronies. What the heck? It was a horrific hour plus at midnight, Wiles told me, and I don't think I've seen him that angry since. He was ranting and raving, and I didn't know whether to argue back or whether to be stoic. What I really wanted to do was cry. Damn. I've been there, homie. I've been there. You know, a woman trying to make it in a man's world, like... Sometimes you just want to punch another guy, but you know that you can't because they can't punch you back because you're a woman and because this whole, dichotomy and yeah, that's terrible. Being a woman in business sucks, but maybe it's getting better. Oh my God, who is this guy? Who is this guy with this Adolf Hitler ass hair? Dan Scavino. The caddy. I don't even know this guy. We're going to learn about him together. Okay. Wiles steeled herself. I finally said, Mr. Trump, if you want somebody to set their hair on fire and be crazy, I'm not your girl. But if you want to win this state, I am. It's your choice. Wiles walked out. Trump turned on a dime. Lo and behold, he called me every day. Wiles never looked back. Trump carried Florida, the first big prize in his stunning 2016 upset over Hillary Clinton. Then, in a fateful turn of events, Wiles went to work in 2018 for an ambitious gubernatorial candidate named Ron DeSantis. Trump urged DeSantis, then his protege, to hire her. No way. She led the underdog candidate to victory. But afterwards, DeSantis turned on her, denouncing Wiles publicly and bad-mouthing her privately. To this day, Wiles doesn't know what triggered the governor's vendetta. I think he thought I was getting too much attention, which is ironic, she told me. I don't ever seek attention. Well, yeah, but she's the playmaker. She's the one who, is making these guys a thing. Like, I didn't know who DeSantis was until he became governor. And it was probably thanks to her. Yeah, I don't know who this guy is. But he's got ugly hair. Like, it's pathetic. His name is Dan Scavino, so we'll find out about him in this Vanity Fair expose. Okay. Wiles landed on her feet, organizing Florida for Trump's 2020 re-election bid. Trump had rescued Wiles, recently divorced. No way. She divorced her husband after working on the DeSantis campaign. At a dark moment in her life, oh man, Wiles and her husband divorced in 2017 due, she has said, to his bad financial decisions. No way. She divorced him? She divorced her husband for him being fiscally irresponsible. That's crazy. But I mean, that sounds like a Republican. Looking back on DeSantis' behavior, Wiles reflected, had he said, look, thank you, I appreciate your help, we're done here, I believe the course of his history would have been different. I might or might not have gone to work for Donald Trump. No way. Okay, here's the next interview. January 20th, 2025. On Trump's first day in office, the president signed a flurry of executive orders, 26 in all, withdrawing the U.S. from the WHO and the Paris Climate Agreement, rescinding birthright citizenship, sending troops to the southern border, freezing foreign aid, and stopping federal hiring. Then Trump issued pardons to almost everyone convicted in the bloody January 6th assault on the Capitol, in which 9 people ultimately died and 150 were injured. Yeah, he even rioters who'd beaten cops within an inch of their lives were set free. That's crazy. If y'all remember, a while back, we watched Mehdi Hassan debate these alt-right conservatives. And it was crazy to see the conservatives be like, yeah, it's okay for them to beat up cops. These people had every right to beat up these cops. And it's like, homie, you're Blue Lives Matter. You're supposed to be defending the cops, not saying that they were, yeah. So, yeah, everyone who was a part of January 6th got off scot-free. It's crazy. Did she ever ask the president, wait a minute, do you really want to pardon all 1,500 January 6 convicts, or should we be more selective? I did exactly that, Wiles replied. I said, I'm on board with the people that were happenstancers or didn't do anything violent, and we certainly know that what everybody did because the FBI has done such an incredible job. Trump has said his FBI investigations were corrupt. No way. So she's going against what he was saying and part of a deep state. But Trump argued that even the violent offenders had been treated unfairly. Wiles explained, in every case of the ones he was looking at, in every case, they had already served more time than the sentencing guidelines would have suggested. So given that, I sort of got on board. No way, she made mental gymnastics to justify going again. Damn. Oh, man. According to the court's records, many of the January 6 rioters pardoned by Trump have received sentences that were lighter than their guidelines. So yeah, she was saying like, she's I'm not going to say she's lying, but she's not exactly saying the truth, There have been a couple of times where I've been outvoted, Wiles says, and if there's a tie, he wins. Wow. Yeah, so she knew it was wrong. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how could so many people who were like, Blue Lives Matter, all of those people that were like, we gotta protect our military and our police officers. They're, the most American among us, right? And that all went out the window when these rioters just were like, we're gonna, overturn the election. We need to attack these cops that are just doing their jobs. It's crazy. In the West Wing, Wiles is surrounded by young MAGA men. She is a go to church every Sunday, uses a swear word very, very rarely person, said James Blair, Wiles' 36-year-old deputy chief of staff. She doesn't raise her voice, but she likes being around junkyard dogs. She sounds like one of the girls that's like, I'm not like the other girls. I'm one of the guys. Yeah, no, red flag. Indeed, Wiles has seemed content to let her pit bulls, Deputy Chief of Staff Miller Blair and Dan Scavino, run loose as she watches. Okay, so that's crazy. During Oval Office events, Wiles almost always sits just off camera. There's the president, and then there's whoever the three high-ranking people are on the sofa, she said. And there's a chair at one corner of the sofa, which is my chair, which means I'm the one that gets hit in the head with the boom mic. Hey, whatever. She'd rather get hit in the head with a boom mic than be on camera like Marco Rubio or JD Vance. For all the chaos in the cabinets, Wiles has kept Palace intrigue and shivering to a minimum in the White House. Trump has empowered her. When Wiles weighs in, everyone knows she is speaking for him. She has, in turn, empowered her team. Blair, Miller, Scavino, and Taylor Budowich. What a name. Budowich? Junkyard dogs. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Because she's a Karen who doesn't take care of her dogs. Oh, look at this photo of her. She literally looks like a female version of Donald Trump. That's crazy. That's crazy. First and foremost, she brings no ego, says Blair, and that she is the starting point from which just an immense amount of power flows. There's so much ego and testosterone around her, there wouldn't be any room for hers anyways. Yeah, but like, you know, they're her junkyard dogs. She knows how to control them, and chooses not to, right? From day one, Wiles had to grapple with another power center, Elon Musk. He is a complete solo actor, said Wiles of Trump's billionaire pal, who led the scorched earth blitz known as the Department of Government Efficiency. We all remember Doge. Wiles described Musk as something akin to a jacked up Nosferatu. Jacked up Nosferatu, damn. The challenge with Elon is keeping up with him, she told me. He is an avowed ketamine user. And just sleeps in a sleeping bag in the executive office building in the daytime. What a freaking freak, bro. What a psychotic person. Like, okay, I used to admire Elon Musk way back in the day. I used to be a Tesla fanboy. I used to think that Elon Musk really was going to save the world from climate change and stuff, right? And I remember him being like, you know, doing that whole Wolf of Wall Street mindset and saying, you know, if you want to get ahead of everyone, you gotta pull more hours than them. While everyone's working a 60-hour work week, you need to be working an 80-hour work week or whatever. You know, obviously he's slept. I remember him saying that he would sleep in the office of his Tesla factory, you know, and it's like, yes, there is a time and a place to, to pull all that overtime, right? To like be like, I'm so dedicated to my job that I'm literally sleeping at my job. But it's like when you're sleeping during the daytime, during business hours, it's like, what are you doing in the time that you are working? You know, I'd much rather have an employee that comes in, clocks in at 9 and clocks out at 5 and is productive the whole time than an employee who clocks in at, 10 a.m., a freaking hour late to work, fucks around for, 20 minutes getting coffee and whatever, and then forgets to clock out at 5 because they're like, oh my God, I've just been so busy working. And they're like, I gotta work until 7 p.m. now. So I gotta stay after. No, brother. Why didn't you just put in your 8 hours of work and be productive during those 8 hours instead of putting in 12 hours of work where maybe you're productive only 6 of them, right? That's crazy. So this whole Sigma mindset that that started really big back then was like, it's just so fake, like there was a couple years ago, there was this Navy SEAL going around saying that if you wake up every day at 4 a.m., you're going to be so productive. And it's like, yeah, you may be waking up at 4 a.m., but then you're falling asleep at 6 p.m. at night instead of sorry, I was in the ballpark as well, but it was all smokescreen, and again, our education system fails. Yeah, people glazing up Elon always. Back then in 2015, we were more neo-lib Democrats, and all of them loved Elon. Yeah, because remember, Elon Musk literally got on Twitter and was like, haha, I'm a socialist. Haha, I believe in socialism. And it's like, no, brother, you just lied to us. You were just, you thought it was cool to be socialist, but in reality, you just wanted to be a cool fascist, because that's why he did the Sig Heil after after Trump was elected this year. Like, homie is just trying to find some place he fits in. He can't fit in anywhere because he's, hopped up on ketamine all the time and sleeping in a sleeping bag during the daytime. Like, no one wants to hang out with you. No one wants to have, your drift off ketamine, whatever delusions, where he's like, you remember at the inauguration, he was just like looking around and just being so weird. And it's like, homie, just do drugs after work. like the rest of us do. Do drugs after work. When you're not on the job, do your drugs. You can do drugs, just not while you're on the job. Homie changed during COVID because he hated the regulations. Yes. I'll never forget when Elon Musk was like, we got to reopen after the shutdown because California is such a liberal state and I'm losing money. I'm going to move my entire factory to Texas. I was heading down towards that Sigma mindset type thing because I'm trying to look for answers as to why life sucks. And these people's channels pop up on my feed 100%. 100%. I used to, you know who else I used to stan deviate? I used to stan Mark Zuckerberg. I loved Mark Zuckerberg. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to just buy 5 different black t-shirts and that's going to be my entire wardrobe because Mark Zuckerberg said it's too much. It wastes time in the morning having to pick out what to wear, right? So it's just better to just wear the same thing every day like a freaking cartoon character so that way you could focus all that energy on time on coding or whatever, right? Yeah, a lot of men have fallen into that trap. It's because they don't know. They don't know that, you know, there's healthy ways to be a Chad, you know. They don't know that there's healthy ways to be a cool guy and get all the girls, you know. Like if you just shower, shave, and smell good, I promise you will be an automatic 7. Every man, bro, does look like a cartoon character. Leave him alone. I still love Mark Zuckerberg. Even though he's on the manosphere now. Okay. Back to the article. And Elon Musk is an odd duck, as I think geniuses are. You know, he's not helpful, but he's his own person. Musk triggered the first true crisis of the Trump presidency as an early test for Wiles. Trump's chief was shocked when the SpaceX founder eviscerated USAID. The United States Agency for International Development is just their aid program. I was initially aghast, Wiles told me, because I think anybody that pays attention to the government and has ever paid attention to USAID believed, as I did, that they do very good work. Yeah, 100%. When I found out that Doge got rid of USAID, I was like, why would you do that? That's our number one imperialism technique. Like, giving aid to other countries makes America look good and opens up partnerships, right? So why would you not keep USAID? It wasn't saving, like, the money that I'm sure USAID was spending, we were getting in returns by having good relationships with those countries. But the money, like, just because they didn't want the money to go to like transgender people in Africa or something, they're like, we don't need to help these people. They got rid of it. Deviate said, good thing I had my dad, because again, I felt like that sort of mindset was off. So I asked my dad questions. Hell yeah. I'm sure, you know, your dad gave you some good advice. He sort of got me back towards the middle rather than going into the far right area. Exactly. And like, I want to make it clear that this broadcast is, although like I may identify as a leftist, I may be more left-leaning in a lot of social and fiscal issues, but this is a place for people all on the political spectrum. You know, we are with the only bias on this broadcast is biased for the American people, right? I want Americans to have the American dream that our parents were promised. You know, that's all I want. We already read that. In his first executive order freezing foreign aid, Trump had decreed that life-saving programs should be spared. Instead, they were shuttered. When Elon said, "We're doing this," he was already on it, said Wiles, and that's probably because he knew it would be horrifying to others. But he decided that it was a better approach to shut it down, fire everyone, shut them out, and then go and rebuild. Not the way I would have done it. Yeah. Wiles knew that fixing this was on her. The president doesn't know and never will, she told me. He doesn't know the details of these smallish agencies, yeah. Wiles said she called Musk on the carpet. You can't just lock people out of their offices. She told him that? Oh no, I'm actually against those people and I'm on the left. Okay, well, yeah. No, we're good. She recalls telling him at first, Wiles didn't grasp the effect that slashing USAID programs would have on humanitarian aid. I didn't know a lot about the extent of their grant making, but with immunizations halted in Africa, lives would be lost. Soon, she was getting frantic calls from relief agency heads and former government officials with dire message. Thousands of lives were in the balance. Wiles continued, so Marco is on his way to Panama. Oh man, I remember that. We call him and say, your Senate confirmed you're going to have to be the custodian, essentially, of USAID. Okay, he says, but Musk forged ahead. All throttle, no brakes. Elon's attitude is you have to get it done fast. If you're an incrementalist, you just won't get your rocket to the moon. Well, I don't think Elon has got anything to the moon yet. And so with that attitude, you're going to break some China. Oh, she means like fine China. But no rational person could think the USAID process was a good one. Nobody. The shuttering of USAID crippled the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief. The I'm not going to read that. Launched with $15 billion by George W. Bush in 2003, was credited with preventing millions of deaths. It depends on USAID grants, and in an interview with the Financial Times, Bill Gates remarked, the picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one. Okay, says Bill Gates, the guy who is in the Epstein files. So, oh, here's this cringe pics of JD Vance where he's buttoning the second button of his jacket. I'm no man and I'm no fashionista, but I'm pretty sure today men are only buttoning one button on their jacket. So it's kind of crazy that he would be buttoning the second one. Also, why does the White House still have like 1970s? Is this like a thermostat? I kid you not. This thermostat looks like it's from like from 1960 something. That's crazy. Okay. Privately, another drama was playing out. Bush himself had gotten wind of gutting of the AIDS thing. He called Rubio to express alarm, according to a former aide close to Bush. He's been appalled by Trump from the beginning, and he's determined not to weigh in, the aide said. But Musk attack on his legacy achievements was too much. Bush said that person cares deeply about the PEPFAR program, that the wounded warriors are two things he will weigh in, not publicly, but with intention. Did Rubio have any regrets about the untold number of lives that PEPFAR evisceration might cost? No. First of all, whoever said that, it's just not being accurate, he told me. We're not eviscerating PEPFAR. It has been rearranged and reorganized in such a way that we're now going to be able to deliver aid in a way that has a goal. I guess George W. Bush didn't have a goal when helping wounded warriors, right? The goal is to help countries become self-sustaining, with a note of America first, he added. Let's begin with the premise. Is it the United States' fault? Why isn't China paying for more immunizations? Homie, do you want China to get a good rep across the world? Because that's what would happen. If China took over the United States spots in delivering aid, like China would be so popular. China would be able to get all the business relations that they want because they're helping out these countries. Why isn't the UK or Canada or any of the G7 countries helping? The UK, okay, blah, blah, blah. When I repeated Rubio's comment to former GOP White House Chief of Staff, he remarked, I find that immoral. Crazy. It's true. Okay. Day 8, January 27th, 2025. For Trump, Wiles has helped pick a cabinet of MAGA hardliners. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War / former Secretary of Defense. He was the SS Secretary of War. Kash Patel, FBI Director. John Ratcliffe, CIA Director. Pam Bondi, Attorney General Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard's Director of National Intelligence. Marcella said, and can we get more Chinese anime boys in America? I wish. But they're gonna, don't you know, Donald Trump's putting a tariff on Chinese anime boys. So they're not gonna happen. And thank you, DV8. Cash Paddle. I'm sure he loves getting paddled himself. Wiles calls them a world-class cabinet, better than anything I could have ever conceived of. Trump's cabinet members are either one of the least qualified presidential team in history, or, to hear Wiles tell it, disruptors, the only people with the balls to take on the entrenched deep state. People talk about the deep state being at the State Department, Wiles said. It's not. It's the military-industrial complex. No way. How is the military-industrial complex the deep state? That's crazy. Who makes all the deals for these industrial companies? It's the U.S. government, brother. Okay. Hegseth, in her view, is just the guy to take on the powers that be. She referred to Health and Human Services Secretary Robert RFK, another world-class disruptor, as my Bobby or quirky Bobby. She's calling RFK Bobby? What the fuck? You know what? We need to bring back coworkers not being friendly with each other and giving them nicknames. This is too much. Why would she call him quirky Bobby? Is she dating RFK Jr.? Damn. In Wiles's view, yes, thank you, so cringe. In Wiles's view, RFK Jr.'s shock treatment of Health and Human Services is warranted. He pushed the envelope. Some would say too far, but I say in order to get back to the middle, you have to push it far. Homie, remember when he said Tylenol causes autism? Is that really pushing that far to get back to the middle? Now we're at the point where, like, anti-vaxxers are thinking that Tylenol causes autism now. Oh my God. In December, Kennedy's federal vaccine panel voted to end the decade-long recommendation for newborn vaccines against hepatitis B, which is highly infectious and causes liver failure. All right. March 16th, 25. In mid-March, after Trump evoked the Aliens Enemy Act, Immigration and Custom Enforcement shackled and herded 238 immigrants onto transport flames and flew them to a notorious, brutal Salvadorian prison. According to Trump, the men were members of Tren de Agua, or Argoa, Tren de Agua, a violent Venezuelan gang, but the evidence was sketchy, often based on tattoos. I thought they were saying that the tattoos that one guy, Kilmar Abrego, I thought they were saying he was a part of MS-13, not Tren de Agua. Most had committed no serious crimes. One, Kilmar Obrega Garcia, was deported by mistake. The Trump administration admitted it. Yeah, that's right. Ugh, Steve Miller in color. Wow. Disgusting. I will concede that we got to look harder at our process for deportations, Wiles told me at the time. No way. When we spoke again in April, in cities across the country, ICE masked ICE agents were snatching people off the streets, throwing them in vans, and zip tying and frog machining them into makeshift deportation camps. Many were U.S. citizens or entitled to be here. ProPublica did a document on that. If somebody is a known gang member who has a criminal past and you're sure and you can't demonstrate it, it's probably fine to send them to El Salvador or wherever, Wiles told me. But if there is a question, I think our process has to lean towards a double check. They weren't double checking. The administration was not double checking these people. And then they had freaking Nayib Bukele come to the White House and be like, yeah, we can't find him. Surf City, we can't find him. Oh my God. He's a bad guy and we can't find him. The ones you go into CCOT, they don't come out. That's crazy. Okay. But as USA.gov site itself notes, in some cases, a non-citizen is subjected to a non-citizen is subject to expedited removal without being able to attend or a hearing in an immigration court. Yeah, they started the expedited removal. Went hard this semester. I mean, this year. Not long after the El Salvador deportation fiasco in Louisiana, ICE agents arrested and deported 2 mothers along with their children ages 7, 4, and 2 Hondurans. The children were U.S. citizens and the 4-year-old was being treated for stage 4 cancer. Wiles couldn't explain it. That's crazy. That's crazy that they would not roast her on that. It could have been an overzealous Border Patrol agent. I don't know, she said of the case, in which both mothers had reportedly been arrested after voluntarily attending routine immigration meetings. I can't understand how you make that mistake, but somebody did. Brother, if somebody made that mistake and you're admitting that they made the mistake, that person needs to lose their job. What the frick? That's crazy. That's crazy. So it's like basically saying that ICE is this rogue thing. ICE does what they want to do. Oh yeah, that's right. They deported someone that had cancer. Gosh, this is disgusting. Yeah, I know. A lot of the deportations are sad stories. Like on this broadcast, we covered the one gentleman who was held in an ICE deportation center here in Adelanto. And he died. They let him die because they were like, oh, you don't need to seek medical help, even though the dude was like, help, I feel like this wound I have is infected, I need help. And they just let him die. He didn't even get to go medical care. He just died in ICE custody. So yeah, a lot of bad things. Like, this is stuff like, come on, this is stuff that like we would have more than easily enough like prosecuted the people that did this in the freaking Nuremberg trials, because like who would deport a 4-year-old that is battling cancer? It's crazy. Okay. April 3rd, 2025. The president declared April 2nd Liberation Day. Yep, that's when he did all the tariffs. Bragging about billions of dollars that would flow into the U.S. coffers from tariffs, refusing to acknowledge that the levies were a tax on consumers. So much thinking out loud is what I would call it, said Wiles of Trump's chaotic tariff rollout. There was a huge disagreement over whether tariffs were a good idea. Trump's advisors were sharply divided. Some believed tariffs were Panacean. I guess maybe it's saying that's a good thing, and others predicting disasters. Wiles told them to get with Trump's program. I said, this is where we're going to end up. So figure out how you can work into what he's already thinking. Well, they couldn't get there. Oh my God, here's this weird guy again with the Hitler hair. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say Hitler hair, but like the Hitler Youth hair. Wiles recruited Vance to help tap the brakes. We told Donald Trump, hey, let's not talk about tariffs today. Let's wait until we have the team in complete unity and then we'll do it, she said. But Trump barreled ahead, announcing sweeping reciprocal tariffs from 10 to 100%, which triggered panic in the bond market and a sell-off of stocks. That's right. That was like, he was almost going to crash the economy. Trump paused his policy for 90 days, but by the time the president's helter-skelter levies had given rise to the taco chant, Trump always chickens out. Y'all remember that? That's when I really thought that we were going to get something done, because like Trump pissed off the financial market. And if there's one thing that's like American, is that the financial market gets to have, free trade. We have free trade. America spent so many years developing free trade across the world that we would never do tariffs ever again. And then here comes Donald Trump. I don't remember the exact story, but someone got sent to those camps for having an autism awareness tattoo. Yes, I think I remember that. They were just sending anyone in, at least in El Salvador, the like rule is that if you have a tattoo, you're probably a gang member. So yeah, I think they also sent someone who had like the World Cup trophy, like it's like a trophy with a soccer ball on it. They had a tattoo of that. And El Salvador was like, yep, he's probably a gang member. He has a tattoo of the World Cup trophy, gang member, straight to jail. Wiles believed a middle ground on tariffs would ultimately succeed, she said, but it's been more painful than I expect. Of course, it's been painful. At the time this article went to press, shortly before the December holidays, a Harvard poll showed 50% voters think Trump's tariffs policies have harmed the economy. Great. So more people than not say that the economy is getting hurt by tariffs. Which is crazy, because Donald Trump was elected as the guy who was going to fix the economy. He said he was going to bring grocery prices down, and he hasn't. He said he was going to World Cup trophy known for its gang affiliation. Yeah, that's so true. Okay, August 14th, 2025. During the summer, Trump ordered the National Guard into 4 Democratic-led cities, claiming the troops were needed to crack down on crime and protect federal immigration facilities. Yeah, that's when they sent them to Los Angeles, and that was a whole thing. In June, the president deployed some 4,000 Guard troops to Los Angeles. Later, he sent them to Washington, describing the city's crime rate as out of control. This was like a vitamin boost of ICE, of the National Guard, of the Park Service Police, who actually have more authority than the DC Metro Police, Wiles said. And the idea was to right the ship and then slowly back off. And that's what we're doing. Slowly backing off? I don't think so. Critics denounce the deployments as unconstitutional, performative, and ineffective. And many feared Trump had another, more sinister plan up his sleeve. Yeah. Will the president use military to suppress or even prevent voting during the midterms and beyond? Which we kind of did see. Homie was like ready to send Marines to make sure that Prop 50 did not pass. I say it's categorically false, will not happen, and just wrong-headed, she snapped. Do you understand where people who think that are coming from, I asked. I do a little bit, but not fully. I mean, I think they hate the president. They think he's too wrapped up in what happened in 2020. The president and his team were pushing almost every legal and constitutional boundary and defying courts to stop them. But would Trump obey the Supreme Court? Do you think he will adhere to whatever the courts decide in the end? I asked Wiles. I do, she replied. But Wiles made a prediction. The smart lawyers around us think that there will be there will be slowed down. Sorry. The smart lawyers around us think that we will be slowed down, as we already have been, but we will ultimately prevail. We all know here that people need to understand that fascism is here. Yeah, I don't know how to convince people that fascism is here other than what's literally happening in front of your eyes, you know? Like, you send the National Guard to the court, to different cities to protect federal agents. Like, what is that? What are people supposed to think? That's where I kind of stand with Gavin Newsom. It's like, we gotta states' rights first, right? Okay. Oh, let's save part 2 for tomorrow, because we still have some other things that I want to talk about. But this was a very, very, very good expose on the Trump administration. Susie Wiles, crazy. It was funny because I actually had to do a project last semester where I had to give advice to Chief of Staff Susie Wiles on how to win the 2026 midterms. And here, let's go back to her jump scare face. Yeah, it was very detailed. You know, Vanity Fair is out here doing the hard work, because you know the Trump administration would not sit down with CNN, or they barely sat down with 60 Minutes, you know, after they kicked out the person. But yeah, this is great. We'll have to see how the next few days handle it. Because if I'm sure, you know, the damage control is already happening with them saying that Vanity Fair is lying, or, you know, stretching the truth. So it's crazy, but, you know, is interesting, you know, first ever woman chief of staff. And of course it's in like one of the most like man heavy, presidential, like one of the more male dominated presidencies, right? Like, I would, you know, you would say that that's one of the issues that MAGA voters have, is that, you know, being a man in 2025 is so difficult because, you know, women are taking your jobs, or women are going to college over you and taking your college seats. And here is Donald Trump literally relying on a woman. You know, like, I feel like she holds a special place, or she has like this special how do I call it? I want to say aura, but it's not aura. It's just her demeanor, maybe. Maybe her demeanor is something that Trump respects, you know? Like, at the end of the day, Trump he's a little messy bitch. And, you know, one of the like earliest feuds I ever remember hearing Trump get into was him feuding with Rosie O'Donnell, you know? Like, I would say Rosie O'Donnell is this kind of woman. You know, she knows what she wants. She knows how to get it. She knows there's nothing stopping her. The sky is the limit. And I think it's crazy that, you know, this woman has the same type of personality, or, you know, is similar in demeanor to a lot of other powerful women in, you know, Hollywood or wherever. You know, I would very much argue that probably Hillary Clinton has the same type of demeanor as Susie Wiles, you know? Hillary Clinton knows how to get things done. Like, when her husband was president, like, it was the husband's presidency, not her presidency. And that was probably very hard for her to deal with, because she had just been working with Bill, and just being like, you know, we got to do this. It's a joint presidency. And no, it's not. It was his presidency, and she was pushed to the side because that's just how it was. Nobody wants, like, at least at that time, nobody likes powerful women that speak their mind. Maybe that's kind of changing now, but I would still, you know, argue. Deviate said, you know, these arguments of women are taking your jobs, it's like, okay, they are human with ambition as well. Sorry, I maybe said something. No, you're good. I'm just memeing on, joking on conservatives, because they're like, yeah, women are taking our jobs. Their place is in the home, carrying babies. Like this woman, she had 2 kids, so I'm sure they don't, that doesn't bother them. But like, I just want to know what this double standard is. Like why couldn't Donald Trump give trust a man to do this job? Why does he trust Susie Wiles? What does she have? Like, and I think it goes back to that very old dynamic of, behind every powerful man is a powerful woman, right? It's just, like we saw it with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Homie was literally paralyzed from the waist down or wherever. I don't know. He couldn't walk, didn't want to have pictures taken of him in his wheelchair. But, his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, was, she was like the first Hillary Clinton, honestly. And she was just as capable as him, but like she was reduced to this lower position. Deviate said she has blackmail on him. She very well could have blackmail. I don't know if it would be fair to say that, well, because she's not standing by the Vanity Fair article, she's saying that they twisted it. But she very well could pull the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, where Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, Donald Trump said that I can't run for Senate, so now I'm going to kamikaze the whole MAGA base and the whole Trump administration because Donald Trump is punishing me for whatever weird reason. And, and so then she just was like, okay, Donald doesn't want me, kamikaze the whole thing. The whole Republican Party is coming down with me. And, thankfully thankfully for Republicans, I could care less. Thankfully for Republicans, they just like kind of squashed that. They quieted that beef that she was bringing up, and no one really cares anything anymore. Marjorie Taylor Greene made her backdoor deals, I bet. And she's good. And she's gonna, do whatever, probably write a book or whatever, maybe, start her own podcast or something. But Marjorie Taylor Greene could have taken down the Trump administration in the similar fashion that I believe Susie Wiles can. But Wiles has not been, I don't know what the correct word, I want to say jilted, but I don't know if that's a politically correct term anymore. Jilted definition. Oh, okay. Jilted, suddenly rejected or abandoned a lover. He was jilted at the altar by his bride-to-be. Okay. So I want to say that Marjorie Taylor Greene, or if Donald Trump jilts, what a weird word, sorry. If Donald Trump, messes with Susie Wiles, she could very well pull a Marjorie Taylor Greene and probably have it be way more successful, because she has everyone. Like, that was another thing I meant to say with the Trump administration one. JD Vance was right. There was a lot of people in the Trump administration that were like not letting Trump run it, right? They were like, oh, you got to be careful with this. You got to, you remember. But now Donald Trump like has his, I don't want to say dream team, but he has a better team than the first administration. And I really think it's thanks to this lady. She's like the mom of the group, and she's probably not afraid to lay down the law. And these people are going to listen to her because Trump admires, or at least Trump trusts her, right? But I don't know. We'll see. Like, if he trusts JD Vance, who was originally like, yeah, I'm a never Trump Republican, who then changed his mind because he wanted to be vice president. Like, I don't know. I totally see the value in Susie Wiles, because she's not trying to get anything out of it. She's just in it purely for the love of the game. She's in it because she loves the Republican Party. She's in it because she wants to see the Republican Party continue. You know, sure, she'll forever hold the title as, you know, first female chief of staff. I don't know if she would be, you know, care about that too much, but you know, it's a thing. She's gonna go down in history, you know, and I'm sure that she may not care about it right now, but you know, people like that are you know, never gonna say no to being, you know, being like pandering, you know. So crazy article and crazy pictures too. All right, so let's get into the next thing, which is Venezuela. Venezuela's been, you know, are we going to war with Venezuela? Yes, no. Is the United States attacking these boats in international waters considered an act of war? Like we just read in the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair article, she said that all these attacks on these Venezuelan drug boats with quotations, are just moves to get Maduro to step down. But like, that doesn't make sense. It's just making him, all of it's illegal. But this is America's world, you know. America is judge, jury, and executioner of the globe right now, and we have barely any opposition, right, to like maybe Russia, but Russia's not going to come and attack us. China's not going to come and attack us. The United States made the game, and we run the game, right? So we're not gonna. It's not illegal. We're not gonna. You think the United States is gonna be like, oh, we did an illegal thing, let's charge ourselves for it? No, we're not gonna do that. So, you know, this whole thing about Venezuela, my theory on that is that Venezuela is the one country that the United States can like openly attack and have them do nothing in no retaliation, right? Imagine if we drone striked drug boats or drug cartels, because let's be real, the real drug problem is in Mexico, right? It would be crazy if we charged ourselves. Yeah. You know the meme of Obama putting a ward around Obama? Like, I need the opposite of that, where it's like Trump putting Trump in cuffs. That's never going to happen. Hold on, I want to find the Obama award. There we go. This one. This is us. This is, oh my God. No, I don't want to. I love that meme too. Let's see. I just want to visit the picture. Nope, not link. Open image and new. Oh my God. Whatever. Y'all know what I mean. This is us. We're like, congrats. We ended the war on drugs by blowing up boats in Venezuela. So, you know, like we can't even, we had literally Netanyahu, someone that the world courts had identified as someone who needs to be on trial. You know, I think they have a arrest warrant open for Netanyahu, and he literally came to New York or wherever and was totally fine. He went to Washington, D.C. and nobody arrested him. Could you imagine, like, if someone, or at least in America, like, say, you know how Mamdani was like, if Netanyahu comes to New York City, I'm going to arrest him by the police. Like, what are you going to do after that? Turn him over to the world police? Like, the world police is America. You're not going to charge Netanyahu with anything. Yeah, hardly any drugs come from Venezuela. Yeah, Venezuela is so bad. Like, the number one export of the number one Venezuelan export is Venezuelan refugees. Like, literally, it's like more Venezuelans are living outside of Venezuela than those who live inside Venezuela. It's like, I feel like we make such a big deal about North Korea and that dictatorship there. and how, you know, the leader of North Korea has, you know, like he's so crazy and forces his people to do things. Literally, Venezuela is the Latin American version of North Korea, because ain't nobody want to live there. Ain't nobody, you know, they're on a calorie deficit, meaning that the people there are not consuming enough calories per day needed to actually sustain their weight. You know, so it's bad in Venezuela. But, you know, do you think Donald Trump is really like, oh yeah, I care deeply about the poor Venezuelan people who are you know, not doing well? Like, literally, there could be a case made to say that all those people that are suffering now under Nicolas Maduro probably voted for Hugo Chavez, right? So why, in Marco Rubio's name, why would we want to save a communist country, or I mean a socialist country that still wants socialism? It's not going to happen. This whole Maduro thing is just because he's the weakest Latin American leader, and ain't nobody would miss him if he was gone. Not even the Venezuelan people. The only person that would miss Maduro is Maduro. And I don't even know, like, if he steps down, there's no way he's gonna, he can never live in Venezuela again. But yeah, anyways, majority of the drugs do not come from Venezuela. I think the Trump administration is saying that fentanyl is coming from Venezuela, like they're the number one exporter of fentanyl, and that's not true. Majority of the fentanyl comes from China because it's made artificially in Chinese labs, you know. So it's not about drugs, it's not about oil. It's just, my opinion is that it's just about, like, Maduro is the kid on the playground that doesn't even have a school lunch because his mom didn't pack him a lunch, and Donald Trump is like, yeah, I need an easy person to bully. That's Nicolas Maduro. Nicolas Maduro is the easy Latin American leader that Trump can push around because he can't do anything back. Nicolas Maduro's, you know, military doesn't even, like, there was like a joke that this, like, the leaders of the Air Force in that military, or in Venezuelan military, was using like a free version of a flight tracking radar, and this flight tracking radar company was like, hey, if you need us, we can set up a private thing for you, so that way you're not using this dated for common people flight tracker thing. It's ridiculous. The Venezuelan country is just, they're done. They've been cooked. They've been struggling since 2014. And then, oh man, when COVID happened, is done. I can't even imagine how many Venezuelans died during COVID. Okay. All right, let's get into this article from Politico by Ben Lefebvre, Sophia Kai, and James Bicales. It's from today. Oh crap, it was literally posted at 4:26 p.m. Eastern time. So that was like 4, 3, 2, 1 o'clock this time. All right. The Trump administration is asking U.S. oil companies if they're interested in returning to Venezuela once leader Nicolas Maduro is gone. 3 people familiar with the discussions told Politico. And so far, the answer is a hard no. James, because is his name? Oh, James Bicales. I don't know how to say his name. The administration's outreach to the industry, previously unreported, is the latest sign the White House is dreaming of a post-Maduro future for Venezuela, and how the world's oil markets are both helping and hindering that goal. These markets, glutted with supply and with prices at nearly 5-year lows, are giving President Donald Trump an unusually free hand to tighten military pressure in the South American OPEC member. OPEC is the acronym for oil producing something something. Like Saudi Arabia is, I think, part of OPEC. Much the way they largely shrugged off the U.S. and Israeli missile strikes in Iran in June, but those prices are also way too low to entice companies to take the risk of pouring huge investments into the crumbling Venezuelan oil facilities that former strongman Hugo Chavez seized decades ago. Yeah, that was another thing. It's like once Hugo Chavez nationalized the Venezuelan oil, and like as he was losing power, the like oil industry is called PDVSA or something like that. Is PDVSA or something. That state-run oil company, he like fired everyone who didn't vote for him, and replaced all those people with like loyalist supporters, right? So the oil industry, the oil producing industry in Venezuela is so extremely outdated. Like, it hasn't been updated in years. I don't even think they can really produce oil as much as they used to. And like this article said, there's because oil prices are low right now. And no, they don't feel low, but it's not like that extreme boom that we had a few years ago because China was industrializing so much. Like, China needed all these minerals and oil to like build the factories that they have. So it was like it was called the China shock, I think, where because China was buying all these raw materials, it automatically pushed up the price of the raw materials. So I think it was something like maybe oil was like $4 a barrel at the start of Hugo Chavez's presidency, and then because China came in, it was like $20 a barrel. So like, people thought Hugo Chavez was doing good, but in reality, it was just that the price of oil had gone up so much that it was really profitable for oil companies to be in oil. And it was really profitable for Venezuela to sell their oil because, it was, they used all that oil money because it was a national oil industry. The profits that they got from the oil went directly back to the people. Like, they would just give people money. They would, help them pay for their health insurance. Really, Venezuela like is the goal for nationalizing your extraction industries, right? Because they used all those profits and gave it back to the people. Whereas maybe a company would be like, okay, these profits go to our shareholders, or what the neolib argument is that these companies will use the profits to reinvest the profits into the company, like redoing, maintenance, making the oil, the like research and development of extracting oil, invest in that so that way you can do it better, or, new oil rigs or whatever, so that way you can, extract oil easier. No, in Venezuela, because it was the people's oil, all the money that was made went back to the people. And so now we have this very, very outdated oil extraction industry in Venezuela, and it makes sense. It makes sense that no American company would care to invest in Venezuela, especially long term, if the Venezuelan people are just gonna, if Nicolas Maduro is still gonna be in power. He's literally a dictator. He has no checks and balances. He's rigged elections to be in his favor. Like, this is not a good country to go and do business in from the perspective of a oil extraction, like Chevron or BP oil, right? If the options are, let's go develop an oil rig in Mexico, or redo this oil rig in Venezuela that's like, dilapidated, they're going to choose Mexico. Because one, Mexico has, a leader that actually does what our leader wants. I'm not saying that Claudia Sheinbaum always does what Trump says, but at the end of the day, she can whip her military together and say, sure, Donald Trump, if you want more people on the border, if you want more military on the Mexican side of the border, I will put more military on the Mexican side of the border. Whereas Maduro, it's like his own people don't even trust him. There's no legitimate opposition. It's bad. That's why I compare it to North Korea, because who knows how bad living conditions are? Nobody knows, because Maduro stopped releasing numbers a long time ago. We talk about Donald Trump refusing to release those job numbers because he didn't want the high unemployment rate to make him look bad. It's the same thing in Venezuela. That's why he's faking elections, because that's the only way he can keep power. All right. These markets, glutted with supply and with prices at nearly 5-year low, are giving President Donald Trump an unusually free hand to tighten military pressure on the South American OPEC member. Much in the way they largely... I already read that. I'm sorry. The U.S. benchmark oil price was around $56 a barrel Wednesday afternoon, the lowest since January 2021. That's crazy. So oil barrel prices are not, they don't rise with, they run on their own thing. You can't go to another country and be like, I would actually like to buy oil for $54 a barrel because I know your oil is worse, right? No, oil is the same no matter where you get it. The entire world has agreed that these basic raw materials are going to have across the board prices, and that's that. So like $56 a barrel today, and it's the same as it was in 2021, which actually should have been high. 2021 should have been high because that's when we were going through the post-pandemic inflation. But that means Trump has only limited reason to worry about an attack on Venezuelan would send gasoline prices spiraling upward. It's not. But it also means U.S. oil companies have better investment options elsewhere. That's what I just said. Like they would go to, Mexico. There have been the genesis of an outreach with the industry on the potential of re-entering Venezuela. One person familiar with the discussion said, but frankly, there's not a lot of interest from the industry in light of lower oil prices and more attractive fields globally. The administration has only recently started initiating the outreach to the industry. Two of the people familiar with the effort said, it's not as straightforward to convince companies to risk capital in an uncertain political environment. One of those people said all three people who spoke to Politico were granted anonymity. Anonymity. I feel like freaking what's his name from Find Nemo? I feel like freaking Finding Nemo, where I'm like the sea anonymity, to describe internal discussions. The U.S. effort, led by the State Department, thank you, sister, it is a hard word to say, has also gotten assistance from Evian Romero, the former executive at the Venezuelan state oil company Petróleos de Venezuela. Oh, that's a PDVSA. Who now works as a consultant in Houston. No way. A person in the industry said. That person said Romero was liaising in sanctioned discussions. What a weird word. Organized by the State Department. Okay. Attempts to reach Romero at his consulting business were unsuccessful. Yeah. Trump on Tuesday announced on social media a blockade of ships leaving Venezuela carrying oil that has been hit by the U.S. sanctions, adding that the United States will not allow another a hostile regime to take our oil, land, or any other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. What the heck? Donald Trump said that? He said that we will not allow hostile regimes to take our oil, land, or other assets? Bro, Venezuela ain't trying to take anything from us. Chevron, Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Halliburton, Schlumberger, Weatherford International, and Baker Hughes were all operating in Venezuela in the early 2000s when Chavez tried to force them to give a majority stakes of their projects to PDVSA. Venezuela seized these, oh my gosh, land, thank you. I'm like, what land do we need from Venezuela? We don't need anything. We already have Panama. Oh man. Richard Goldberg, a former White House official who helped conceive of and stand up Trump's National Energy Dominance Council, said it would make sense for the administration to reach out to companies given the current environment. Nah, bro. If I'm anyone in Chevron or Exxon, I ain't going to Venezuela. Right now, every company is looking for short-term profits over long-term profits, and developing in Venezuela is a long-term gain or a long-term profit objective, and like, nah, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it, especially knowing that Venezuela does not have a legitimate government that, could protect these companies' interest, With the naval blockade, the president is halting the lifeblood of the regime. Well, yeah, because that's the only thing that's the only export. So people there are going to get really, really mad. Said Goldberg, who said he had no direct knowledge of the outreach. And if Venezuelan oil exports are sanction-free and returning to pre-Chavez days, I think you can see incredible opportunities for all oil companies to return. Many of them, like Chevron, already have infrastructure there. So it would just be a matter of getting it back up and running. Yeah, no, it's not just a matter of getting it back up and running. Like, I have a feeling it's going to need a lot of TLC. Spokesperson for Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Halliburton, and Weatherford did not respond to inquiries. Spokesperson for Baker Hughes and Schomburg, now known as SLB, declined to comment. Yeah. Chevron spokesperson Bill Turing directed all questions about the security situation in Venezuela to the appropriate authorities in the U.S. government. Yeah. Chevron has been the sole major oil company to continue working in Venezuela, operating under a special license to produce oil in the country and export it to the United States. What did Marcella say? Finally found that 4% ralts in Pokemon or oh, you mean Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha South. I love that for you, sister. I'm so happy you got the Pokemon you were hunting. I did not even know you were hunting a Pokemon. Okay. Chevron has operated in Venezuela for over a century, and we believe our presence continues to be a stabilizing force for the local economy, the region, and U.S. energy security. Oh, it's okay, sister. You're good. You're good. I'm happy for you. Chevron's operations in Venezuela continue in full compliance with laws and regulations applicable to its business, as well as the sanctions framework provided for by the U.S. government. Our top priority is safety of our personnel, the communities in which we operate, and the environment and integrity of our joint venture assets. And yeah, they don't care about the environment. The first Trump administration placed sanctions on Venezuela, including its oil industry. Years of sanctions, insufficient investment, and political turmoil have since turned what had been a top oil producing country with vast deposits into one that industry representatives have called a junkyard. Still, reviving Venezuela's oil production may not be as easy as some in the administration think. That's what I'm saying. Fernando Ferreira. Sorry. Fernando Ferreira. Thank you. Fernando Ferreira director of the Geopolitical Risk Service at the Rapidan Energy Group, said oil majors are likely to be cautious. Thank you. It's Ferrari. This is Fernando Ferrari. Would likely to be cautious before jumping in with both feet, as the administration maybe hopes they would. Yeah, they're not going to jump in with both feet unless there's literally like a US-backed government there that could protect all their assets. The companies that have been burned once are going to be careful about going back in. They have to justify to shareholders why it's different now. Yeah, and shareholders do not care. Shareholders want money now. They don't want money in the future. They want profits now. Ferrari said, there's probably going to be a gap between a transition and a rush for investment going to Venezuela. But he noted the rush of interest from companies returning to Venezuela after the Biden administration began softening sanctions in 2022. There's definitely a latent interest in Venezuela, he said. That's the end of the article. Yeah, that was what I thought was crazy, is that Biden continued the sanctions that Trump had started against Venezuela. So, I mean, I guess he softened them, but still continued them. Oh, man. Okay. Hold on.
So I think a friend of Donald Trump's must have told him that he was losing the capacity to shock people with his Truth Social posts.
I'm
and
looking
so
at
in the last.
Damn, my light went out. Here, we'll just let this play. It's I forget what his name is.
Few days, he shocked the entire world with his response to the brutal murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Now is following it up with one of the most unhinged remarks he's made about Venezuela yet. We could put up this Truth Social post. We'll read this entire thing.
Yeah,
he says,
I need to charge
Venezuela
it.
is completely surrounded
Breaking
by the
points, heck
largest
yeah, I'm glad.
armada ever assembled in the history of South America. I'll pause on that to note, are you really invoking the Spanish here? Like, what are you doing? He says, it will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before. Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all of the oil, land, what? And other assets.
See, there you go. Thank you. What is this land thing?
Previously stole from us. Yes, Venezuela stole our oil, land, and other assets. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves. The horror. Drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping for the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, today, I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. The illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration.
Hold on. Illegal aliens? Venezuela did not send illegal aliens here. Literally, we took in Venezuelan migrants because they were political refugees running away from a dictatorship, running away from socialism. Like literally the Cuban American population, just like Marco Rubio, were like, oh my God, we need to save these other Latin Americans from the evils of communism. Let's let in all these Venezuelans in under temporary protected status, and then and then Donald Trump kicked them all out at the start of this year.
Turn to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our oil, land, or any other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump.
I freaking hate when he says, thank you
States.
to your attention to this matter.
I don't understand how Venezuela could return land to us promptly.
Thank you.
I understand the oil thing. Like there was a meme during the occupation of Iraq that said, "How did our oil get under their sand?"
It beats me.
But however it got under there, we're going over there and we're taking it back.
Someone's got to find out.
I understand the oil part. The land?
Yeah.
How are we gonna take
what
how did
land?
Venezuela take our land?
Thank you. It is Ryan Grimm. He used to be part of The Intercept, but yeah, Ryan Grimm's a really good investigative journalist. I've actually really never seen this show, Breaking Points. I think with Crystal Ball. No, I don't know.
Jesse Waters, we talked about, I think it was last week, said South America is ours. It's in the name, America.
America.
No.
Maybe that's what he means.
It's not that hard. It's America.
Now, ironically, Trump recently seized Venezuelan assets. They seized an oil tanker. We seized Citgo. Like we took their oil company. Now we're going to. Now they took our land.
I mean, also another part of that.
Crystal
where
ball.
he's
Okay, thank
saying,
you.
On the one hand, Maduro sent criminals into the United States during the Biden administration. On the other hand, Maduro is a vicious dictator. These two things are in conflict because what's actually happening is that Maduro is a dictator and people fled Maduro to come into the United States, which is why there's debate among the Republican
frick?
Party.
I'm sorry, Deviate. You said Kyle Kulinski is married to Crystal Ball? I had no idea. I love Kyle Kulinski too. I did not know that he was married to her. Hold on. That would be crazy. Spouses. Kyle Kulinski. Oh my God. I did not know that they were together. Okay, they got married in 2023. Okay, that makes me feel better. I've known about Kyle Kulinski since like, I don't know, 2019 or something. That's crazy that they're married. That's hilarious. I wonder how they met. Sorry. Yeah, look at our boy. I used to watch Kyle Kulinski before he went with the blonde hair. That's how old. Like this man has had that bleached like fuckboy hair for like a good since the pandemic, I think. That's crazy. I had no idea they're married. Thank you for giving me that information. That's crazy.
Over whether or not to grant asylum to people who, in the case of many Venezuelans, not all of them, actually is pretty sound for asylum, fleeing the Maduro regime. There were real reasons for people to be fleeing the Maduro regime, just as though there were real reasons for people to be fleeing Cuba over the last several decades.
There you go.
And
I
so
called it.
On the one hand,
Trump
Trump is acting as though this was intentionally set up by Maduro to infiltrate the United States. But on the other hand, Maduro is so bad. Well, if Maduro is so bad, then it stands to reason people are going to flee into the United States, which is exactly what happened. It wasn't. It's similar to the trafficking narrative that they're trying to build. Of course,
that's good. Kyle gave you the answers. That's good. Kyle Kulinski is a good guy. He's a little radical, but we need that every now and then.
People would argue there
and
were
by radical, I mean he's
on
just
our
like
side in the trafficking,
you know,
as
of
well.
course.
But that's the argument the United States government is making. But to say that this was intentional, that the migration from Venezuela into the United States was an intentional invasion, infiltration. They're doing the same thing with drugs. And actually what's happened is that people are poor and desperate and are trying to make money or trying to get to a better country. And so that actually confirms the administration's argument about Maduro being a dictator. But of course, they're trying to have it both ways.
And already a couple tankers apparently have been turned around because they're nervous about getting caught up in this American Spanish Armada, which is throwing the Venezuelan economy into complete and total turmoil. Like, it was already deeply struggling.
Yeah, it was already messed up.
This incredible tightening regime of sanctions that we have going on there, and as well as the collapse of oil prices over the last decade, which was kind of propping up the Chavista socialism project. What that's going to do is create, like you said, an outflow of migration, as well as create like starvation and suffering and misery.
Which there's plenty of already.
And create instability. Part of this, there's a right-wing movement going on now in South and Central America. You've had the right wing win elections in Ecuador.
Oh damn. Okay, sorry. We're gonna be a little bit nerdy here and look at data. So if y'all want to tune into your screens, we're looking at the historical prices of crude oil as told by Macro Trends. I don't know what this website is, but it's the first website that popped up. You could see how oil was. Let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. You can see how the price of oil was pretty normal. And then in 1973, it shot up 1974, it shot up like crazy. So like it was in 1953, it was steadily, $2-3 a gallon, 1964, a barrel. And then in 1970, the early 1970s, that's when it shot up to $10 a barrel. For the real nerds out there, in 1973, that's when the Yom Kippur War started. Kippur War. Here we go. The Yom Kippur War. Let me not look at. Here we go. Oof. I don't
imagine being.
Okay. Yom Kippur War explained 1973, a brief history.
Attacked at the moment you are the most vulnerable.
Well, that is exactly what happened to Israel in October of 1973.
Oh, this is pro-Israel. Okay.
My name is India, and today we are diving into a pivotal moment in the history of the Middle East, the Yom Kippur War. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's set the stage.
Wait, I'm sorry. Just to even point out more that this is probably some Zionist propaganda. It was literally posted October 6, 2023. Tell me that isn't ironic that they would post something in favor of the Israeli state on October 6th, talking about how long this war or this feud between I'm just going to say, between Islam and Judaism, right? I'm not going to get that much deep into it because it's not my place to talk, but I will say that, since the 70s, because Israel has been the controversial state that it has been causing America heartache for decades. Let's continue this.
In the late 60s, tensions were high in the Middle East. Israel, a young nation, had just expanded its borders significantly.
Bro, how do you expect? How she started off the video saying Israel was attacked unknowingly, and then she says Israel expanded its borders significantly in the 6-Day War. Come on.
After the 6-Day War. But the peace was fragile, and the neighboring countries were not happy about the new boundaries.
Yeah, who would be?
Fast forward to October 6, 1973.
There you go.
A day that started as usual, but soon turned into one of the most intense wars the region has ever seen.
This day was Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. You see, on Yom Kippur, Jews are fasting, praying, and refraining from any form of work, making it a time of vulnerability as the nation slows down to observe this sacred day. It was on this day that Egyptian and Syrian forces seized the opportunity to launch a coordinated attack on Israel.
But why did they attack Israel?
Off guard.
Why would they leave out the fact of why Syria and Egypt was attacking Israel? Why would they do that? Man, this video is missing out a lot.
The war that ensued was brutal, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Initially, it seemed like Israel was on the brink of defeat, facing overwhelming forces on multiple fronts.
Oh my God.
But Israel was not ready to give up.
Through swift mobilization of reserve troops, innovative tactics, and fierce determination, they not only defended their territory, but began pushing back the invading forces.
Mr. Stefano, 10,000. Thank you for joining us. Maduro is end. What does that mean, homie? Maduro is, yeah.
Turning points was the daring crossing of the Suez Canal, a maneuver that caught the Egyptian forces off guard and shifted the momentum in Israel's favor.
This bold move, coupled with relentless counterattacks, began to turn the tide of the war.
The world watched in horror as the conflict escalated, fearing it might spark a larger conflict in the region. But after weeks of fighting, a ceasefire was finally brokered.
The aftermath of the war led to something almost nobody expected, a chance for peace.
The Camp David Accords, facilitated by the United States, brought Egyptian President
Peanut Farm guy, Jimmy Carter, and I think this is Henry Kissinger. I'm not sure. No, that might be like the Egyptian.
States brought Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin to the negotiating table. This led to the historic Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty in 1979, a beacon of hope in a region often marred by conflict.
This treaty not only brought peace between Egypt and
I
Israel.
wanted to watch this video because I wanted to know about the Yom Kippur War, but they didn't even explain why the Yom Kippur War started. All right, let's go to Wikipedia. We're going to have to read it on our own. Okay. The Yom Kippur War, also known as the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, or the Fourth Arab-Israeli War, or the Ramadan War, was fought between Israel and a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria. Most of the fighting occurred in the Sinai Peninsula of the Golan Heights. I don't think it matters to know what the Golan Heights are, but territories occupied by Israel in 1967. Oh, so the Golan Heights was okay, so they were fighting over that. Okay. The war started on the 6th of October 1973 when the Arab coalition launched a surprise attack across the respective frontier during the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur War. Egypt and Assyrian forces. Oh dang, Tyhos 94. Is that Tyler? Damn, thank you for joining me, Tyler. We're talking about politics. Hope you're doing good. Okay, Egyptian forces continued to advance onto Sinai on the 14th of October to relieve the Syrian front, which was coming under increased pressure. After 3 days, Israel halted the Egyptian advance and pushed most... Okay. All right. What I want to actually find is OPEC. There we go. Okay, here we go. 1973 oil crisis. There we go. Okay, in October 1973, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Companies announced that it was implementing a total oil embargo against the countries that has supported Israel at any time or any point during the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Okay. Damn, is everyone living out Tuloma? Hell yeah. All right, so this is what shot up the oil prices. In 1973, because all of the oil producing countries were like, nah, F Israel, F what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, and F what Israel is doing around to the surrounding companies. These oil exporting companies are powerful. We're literally going to boycott selling oil to America. And then that's, of simple economics, supply and demand. You limit the supply, and I mean, the demand goes the same, or the demand is the same. The price of everything is going to shoot up. So for all the boomers in chat, not that there's any, but the 70s oil crisis was literally because the crude oil was $4 a barrel in November 1973, and then 4 months later it shot up to $10. $4 to $10, that's crazy. And that was all because these countries were like, we're not going to sell America oil, right? So enter Venezuela in the 70s. They're like, oh my God, we are one of the biggest oil producing countries in the world, and the supply, or United States can't get oil from these Arab countries anymore. Let's make a deal. And then Venezuela became one of the biggest oil producing countries in the world. And it brought them so much money because the government owns the oil extraction industries, meaning that the government gets to keep 100% of the profits of those oil extraction profits, right? So it was a good time to be a Venezuelan in the 70s because they just took that money, they took those industries, nationalized it, and bam, that was, money in the pocket of Venezuelans that didn't have it before. But then you can pretty much see that after the 70s, and in 79 to 80, it shot up. Okay, from 79, it was $15.85 a barrel. And then it shot up to $32, $39, almost $40 a barrel in 1980. Boomers in chat will also remember this. And then pretty much after that, it's been fluctuating because after 1980s, that's when we really opened up free trade. And that's when, the money, the global trade was no longer, the value of each nation's money was no longer tied to gold, right? All of the countries' currencies were then compared to the United States dollar. So whatever the dollar was worth, what determined how these other currencies were worth. Yeah, good old Ronald Reagan. good old Reagan made the more free trade, right? The neoliberalism, him and Margaret Thatcher created the neoliberal world order where, trade was free and people could trade however they want. So anyways, needless to say, because the oil prices fluctuated so much, especially, here we are in 1998, it went down to $12 a barrel, or 1999, $12 a barrel. Oil went up kind of more in 2002 went down to $19 a barrel. But I would say the peak of Hugo Chavez was because when did he die? I think he died in 2008. Hugo Chavez, he died in 2013. Okay, but I think he was president during the early 2000s. Look, even this during the early 2000s when oil prices shot up a lot because China had entered the global market. So now China was buying oil at whatever the prices demand, and you see it just literally goes up from 2002, 2004, $55 in 2005, $68 later 2005, and then we have we're hitting pre Great Recession numbers. So if prices of oil went down, and then bam, maxes out in 2008 at $127 a barrel, and then immediately crashes because that's when we went into the Great Recession. And then how do you plan an entire country's budget around a fluctuating source of income, right? Sure, when you're making $124 selling, per barrel of oil, you're going to be able to fund anything and anything and everything with that program. You're gonna be able to, you're swimming in money at this point. But it didn't last forever. And oh my God, you can see here 2013. Maxed, or 2014, $1.03 a barrel, and then 2016 it went down to $33 a barrel. That's more than half, cut in half, And then let's see, in 2020, it went down to $20 a barrel during the pandemic. So, and where are we at right now? 2025, we're at $56 a barrel. That's crazy. So, adjusted for inflation. Interesting. So, oil, is this a petrol peat graph? Yes. It's a petroleum point graph. So yeah, price of oil has been crazy, and it's all thanks to all these countries that have oil as their number one export, and they're able to determine the prices on that. All right, back to Ryan Grimm.
Bolivia recently, and a significant, non-trivial amount of that is there were like 8 million Venezuelans.
Yeah.
Who
getting into Chile
poured out of into lots of other countries. Like 500,000 or so came to the U.S.
Yep.
It's another 7.5 million went elsewhere around, and that generally throughout world history has created kind of a right-wing pull. So when I first saw this news, I was like, Maduro, you want to call him a dictator or not, he's offering to step down in exchange for like lifting of the sanctions and not drone striking him. And offering to let American oil companies come in. Like he's basically saying, what do you want?
Well, he doesn't want what Trump is threatening to bring down right now.
He doesn't want to be killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why, like, I don't understand why Trump won't just say yes. Like, okay, you get your regime change, you get the oil, you get everything, but you don't get, I guess, a war. The only thing I could think of is, and this is like, no, can't be what he's doing. Like, maybe he misses a border crisis. Like, the border is very calm right now. And maybe to Trump, he needs a crisis at the border. And so he's like, oh, I need to create an enormous amount of instability and suffering in Venezuela so I can drive more people to the border. And then in 2026, point to the caravans of the people at the border and be like, Democrats, I don't know quite how you finish that equation. But, Democrats, scary brown people, you have to vote, vote
scary
for me.
Brown people? No way.
It hasn't worked in the past, like when he had the big caravan in 2018 that didn't help him. What on earth is he doing?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Maduro has said his counter offer, part of it is allowing his, like, kind of him to handpick a successor who would reign in power for a couple of years, right?
And while there's elections, yeah. And that successor would not run for re-election.
Right. My guess is that if there was any chance of Donald Trump himself cutting a deal with Maduro, that's probably a brick wall in the negotiations. But I think that's a simpler
They're just going to put the Nobel Peace Prize winning Machado forcibly on the throne? Like, no.
But
yeah, we'll have to get into that opposition. Alyssa Machado, I think is her name. I don't remember. But yeah, she would be absolutely horrible. She would be like the actual puppet figurehead that America wished they could have put in after they took out Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Like, I remember after we took out Saddam Hussein and they like paraded his head around on on a stick or whatever. And then George W. Bush and the whole administration was like, yes, the Iraqi people are going to hold elections. They could not hold elections, brother. These countries are not set up to just have democracy like how America has democracy, okay? Like, there is a lot of trauma. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be undone before these countries can go back to having democratic norms, you know, like Venezuela has undone so much of its democracy that they would need to like rewrite a whole new constitution, you know, get all of the Chavista loyalists out. And then when I say Chavista, I mean the people that were loyal to Hugo Chavez and the people that are now loyal to Nicolas Maduro. No one's loyal to Nicolas Maduro because they love Nicolas Maduro. They're just loyal to him because he was the number one Chavista. So it's not going to happen. Venezuela is not, the only way Venezuela is going to get democracy is if they bring it back themselves.
But that's what
she has no base at all.
But that's what I was going to say. The simpler explanation is that you have to think about this as President Marco Rubio as opposed to President Donald Trump. And President Marco Rubio doesn't want, like, knows that the United States, to paraphrase the Zelensky conversation, holds all of the cards here, except for the American people largely not wanting this, but wants to make a point and wants absolutely no quarter, wants absolutely no remnant, which is impossible, but wants absolutely no remnant of the left, the socialist left, or the whatever you want to call it in Venezuela.
Like, it's a country that has a left.
Yes, and has convinced Trump. I mean, we saw just a couple of days ago, Trump declared fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
This could lay the groundwork for potential.
Okay, earlier in the broadcast, we were talking about how fentanyl is a non-existent thing in Venezuela. Like, all the fentanyl comes from China. It's crazy that we hear this WMD, weapons of mass destruction story happening again right before my very eyes. Like, I remember Colin Powell and Donald Rumsfeld and everyone who was like, yeah, we have to go to Iraq because there's weapons of mass destruction. We have to go to Iraq because there's a dictator there. We have to take these people out. There was no weapons of mass destruction, just like there is no fentanyl in Venezuela. We're gonna have to, like, there's this one movie that I love a lot. It's called Green Zone. It's starring Matt Damon, and like part of the plot is Matt Damon's, you know, I don't know, he's some sort of person of importance in the military, and he's like, we're trying to find the weapons of mass destruction, and he goes like on a wild goose chase through all these places that the Bush administration says are the targets for weapons of mass destruction. He's like, there's no WMDs, there's nothing, you know, and that's what's going to happen. I need a movie starring Matt Damon. Yes, it's the Iraq war again, and no one is learning. And what's crazy is that Donald Trump ran a successful campaign saying that the Iraq war was a waste. So I would love to see Matt Damon star in a movie called like Venezuelan Green Zone and where he's going and trying to find the fentanyl that Maduro is producing, and there's no fentanyl that he's producing.
Potential military action in Mexico. Because if you're declaring fentanyl WMD, there's all kinds of legal questions about what that actually means, what that actually does. But that's laying the groundwork for Mexico. That has nothing to do. I mean, we're talking about cocaine in Venezuela. And so that's
amount of it,
yeah, I think that's the best guess is because Trump does like making deals, but I think he has basically outsourced this to Marco Rubio.
And about half of, so if we manage the transition, then we can approve, you know, who becomes, you know, interim president leading into the elections, and then we can get somebody who's friendlier to the United States. If we don't manage the process, if we just drive some kind of chaotic regime change,
just like
about half of
Iraq,
Maduro's deputies are much friendlier to China than they are to us.
Yeah, and that's why.
And so you might get one of them instead.
Which is why I think Rubio wants to do a total takeover.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot.
With what? Like, who's going to, like, Machado and what army? Like,
oh, me, heck yeah! Thank you for joining me here on YouTube. Yes, we're talking about Venezuela. Hold on, Mimi. Add as moderator. Thank you. Save. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Mimi, I'm so happy you're here. How are you doing, homie? I hope you're well.
Like, you're really going to, like, you're going to occupy Venezuela?
I don't know if
with the U.S. Army.
Part of the Susie Wiles, we'll talk more about this in a second, but part of the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair story, I'm sure this jumped out to you as well. She's saying, we know who's on those boats. We have the CIA.
Mimi is one of my cool friends who used to be a moderator on my Twitch
Army
chat.
Is a great question. Always has been a great question. Could have learned that lesson during the Bay of Pigs, but it's, I imagine, intelligence coming from the CIA, which we know has been authorized to operate on the ground in Venezuela by the president, probably saying, you can do this, because that's what happens every damn time. You have the people. You have the weak links in the military. You can do it, and that's my best guess as to why there's the full bravado for complete and total regime change. Is that they're once again convinced that it's doable, and that anything short of that just gives a foothold or leaves a foothold for China and Iran and the new.
So like I bet China
and meanwhile
China has been making moves to Latin America, like they want it.
So
but I don't know. We'll see. China has their hands in everything right now.
This time with a U.S. Air Force tanker, because all of these American Armada planes are flying around.
No, I'm tired. I've been doing 40 hours this month, and we're losing more staff and trying to get through finals. Yes, get through finals. I finished my last finals literally Monday, so it's been crazy. I totally feel you. You'll get through this. We got this. DV8 said, yeah, because they don't trust us, if ever. Yeah, no. Why would a foreign country trust America? There's no reason for a foreign country to trust America.
The Caribbean, with their transponders off, not communicating with air traffic controllers. And as he said, it's the largest force maybe ever that's been in there. And so you have civilian aircraft constantly going through there. And, it's a big sky, and hopefully that none of them go down, but this is extremely reckless and dangerous, and nobody is asking for it.
Well, because we're able to do it. We're able to do it because Venezuela's not going to attack us back.
Weapons of mass destruction.
They're not going to, Iraq wasn't able to attack us back.
Offensive.
This is why we're doing it.
Lazy. Like, this is what you, like.
It is.
Maybe it's like, we can do whatever we want.
Well, yeah, and I think the best way to think about the Venezuela policy is just, again, President Marco Rubio. I think Trump is
President Marco Rubio,
as Marco Rubio is in this Venezuela regime change. He's been brought on board with it because he can use it from a kind of PR perspective to say this is the crackdown on drugs, even though that is
the drugs and the criminals that are being sent over the border,
to be related to fentanyl, and this is clearly not related to fentanyl. So anyway, all that is to say, the tripwires right now, when you have CIA operating on the ground in Venezuela, when you have the Armada, as Trump put it, that is, we are in the middle of a recipe for escalation, and that Americans could be
like if Venezuela attacked us back. That's all United States needs, and then the U.S. would just be like, okay, bomb them, like carpet bomb Venezuela. That does not sound outrageous. I mean, it sounds outrageous, but it's on point with this administration, right? Like, why wouldn't we carpet bomb a country that attacked us back, right? Like, that's the United States MO. So, it's almost like Marco Rubio and the rest of the Trump administration is like, okay, here, let's poke the bear a little bit, let's see what happens, right? Just waiting for them to react back, so that way the United States can just have the justification to say, okay, we don't even need to convince Congress that Venezuela is a bad place that needs democracy now, and we need to give democracy now to them, because, like American lives would have been lost. Do you think there could be a false flag operation as an excuse to get involved because we have done stuff like that in the past? Yes, we have 100% done stuff like that in the past, and I wouldn't put it past the Trump administration. Like, literally, these are people that This is an administration that doesn't need justification for anything, right? I don't know if they would be that smart to do a false flag operation, but like I said, I wouldn't put it past them to get everyone on board, to get normal Americans on board with being like, oh my God, yes, we need to attack Venezuela. I had no idea. Me, a normal American, I had no idea. I don't even know where Venezuela is. So yeah, just take them out. They're sending drugs. They're sending, gang members or whatever they were saying, the Tren de Agua. Like a normal American would be like, yeah, just get them out. They're making oil prices go up, even though that might not be the case. It's a perfect target. That's why I was making the example earlier that Nicolas Maduro and Venezuela is the like poor kid out on the playground at recess, and Donald Trump is the wealthy kid on the playground at recess, and no one's going to care if Donald Trump punches Nicolas Maduro, because who cares? It's Nicolas Maduro, nobody likes him anyways, right? No one is going to care. No one is caring right now, just like how no one really cared when Trump bombed Iran, with those bunker buster bombs or whatever. It's all a game, not a game per se, but it's all like, let's see how far we can push, right? What will the American people let us get away with? So far, they've let the Trump administration get away with, sending ICE into the cities and, taking all these things yeah. So yeah, a false flag operation could totally be it. It's not past America. It's not below America. America has done false flag operations before, especially in Latin America. So I guess it really all depends how many people in the Trump administration are actually on board with a Venezuelan regime change, with the Venezuelan, with just getting involved in Venezuela. And I really genuinely think that not everyone is on board with that. Marco Rubio is only on board with, attacking Venezuela because that's what his base wants, right? Marco Rubio is a Cuban, son of a Cuban refugee, right, who was escaping communism. These people, because the Cuban Americans have so much power within the Republican Party at this point, there has to be someone who is going to defend their interest, right? And that's why they have Marco Rubio. That's why we have Ted Cruz. That's why we have like these notable Cuban politicians that are constantly fighting against communism, against socialism, because they think that is the most like world-ending thing. So just like how there's people out there that I'm sure are like, North Korea should be our number one focus right now because, I don't know, they're trying to develop missiles or whatever. North Korea is owned by a dictator, but there's not a well-established North Korean group here in America that's like, yes, we need to focus on North Korea. We need to focus, or like, even to bring another example, the well-established Zionist organizations here in America that force American politicians to make Israel a priority for them, right? It's just like that. The Cubans support the Venezuelans because Cuban Americans, no one's, we stopped accepting the Cuban refugees like unconditionally, like, back in the day, if they were on a boat, National Guard, or not National Guard, Coast Guard or whatever, would go and pick up these people, and the Cubans would be like, oh yes, I'm escaping communism, please take me to America. No, in the 90s, it was called the wet foot, dry foot thing, where they would only take in Cuban refugees if they made it to land and had 1 foot on dry land, right? If they still had both their feet in the water, they would return them to Cuba, because it's just like, we're not going to accept the entire. Could you imagine white Americans being okay with a bunch of the entirety of the Cuban population coming to America just because we hate communism? No, like these are the same people that hate Mexicans because they think that they, play loud music at night or whatever, right? Like then that's what my other light went out. Damn. Maybe it's time to stop. I was planning to stop the stream anyways, but maybe it's time to stop for real now. Okay, let me just finish this rant. Damn. Both my lights went out. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. So to finish this rant real quick, it is getting late and I've been streaming for almost 4 hours now. So I'll have to look into Operation Northwoods. That's sounds interesting. But so Venezuela is only a thing because Cuban and Venezuelan Americans have made it a thing. They did collective action, got their representatives in Congress, and now these people are fighting for their issues, right? Like this lady said, President Marco Rubio is in charge of Venezuela. So it's all in Marco Rubio's hands. And honestly, Marco Rubio needs to make Donald Trump look good. And if we start like an invasion of Venezuela, that's not going to be good for the American people. No one's going to like that. Like at least with in 2001 or whenever we invaded Iraq, at least then enough people were duped in thinking that Iraq was the one who did 9/11, right? Venezuela hasn't attacked America at all. These saying that, they're doing the fentanyl crisis or they're bringing drugs to America. How many people do you know are passionate about the fentanyl crisis? Not that many people, unless they were like, impacted by it in their daily lives. Whereas when September 11th happened in 2001, that made everyone, that impacted everyone. It was literally the second time, that America had a surprise attack on them, the first time being Pearl Harbor. And, it was an attack on American soil that rallied all the rally around the flag effect. All of the people in America were like, oh my God, you attack one American, no matter the fact that they're, New York City elitist, you attack one American, you attack all of America. And that has not happened with Venezuela. Venezuela is not a world power. Venezuela has no allies. I think they're teetering with China. They're teetering. I don't know. I think they do have friends in Hamas. So that's weird. We'll have to look into that more. But yeah. All right. Let's end out the broadcast. Because this was actually really great. I had a great time. Let me find some music to play. I hope everyone in chat, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, but mostly subscribe so that way when I go live again, you'll get a notification of when I go live. Plus you can, be subscribed to all my other, see my other videos. Yes, everyone stay safe. It's been a pleasure. Have a good one. Let me play some music. Here we go. Intelligent drum and bass mix. There we go. Everyone have a good night. Stay safe, and I'll be back soon. Maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure. But we're definitely going to stream a lot more. It is spring break. It is winter break, and I am done with school. So I will be putting all my energy into this. Yes, have a good night, Mimi. Have a good night, sister. Have a good night, DV8. Stardust, have a good night. Everyone take care. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Have a good rest of your night.